good morning, and welcome to GCR, otherwise known as the Glenn Clark radio program. I'm Stan the Fan, sitting in for Glenn Clark, who is out in Indianapolis for a working weekend.
What's he doing out there?
That's the voice of Gary Stein.
Hello.
And we're going to be hearing from Gary Stein in just a moment. Gary, you're throwing me off because I had this beautifully written opening, and you know how hard I work on my opens.
Absolutely.
You know?
Really hard.
I worked all night on this. Today on the show, you heard the voice of Gary Stein, now morning sportsman. I'm going to call him sports director of WCBM Radio.
Okay, all right.
All right, you just got a promotion.
Thank you.
Talk to Nick about getting more money.
Yeah,
all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good luck on that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about that in just a second. Today on the program, in addition to Gary Stein sitting in with us in the first hour, Bo Smolka is going to join us, the Ravens beat reporter for PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. That'll be at 10:20. At 10:45, somebody I've known for about 8 or 9 years now, and Gary's gotten to know him in the last 4 or 5 years, Steve Doherty, the executive director of the Maryland State Athletic Hall of Fame, is going to join us to break down who's being inducted, when, and how much, and all that good stuff. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. And at 11 o'clock from BaltimoreBaseball.com, the second Gary Stein leaves, we can get into some fun and detailed sports information with Rich Dubroff of BaltimoreBaseball.com. Earlier this week, Glenn Clark and Griffin Bass had a chance to chat with Brock Vereen, former NFL player. He's now a CBS studio analyst. That's going to be about a 15-minute interview. And then tidbit of the day, tubular, and you'll hear the last segment of the Arthur Maulet Show with Glenn, Rita, and special guest, running back Justice Hill. Joining me now, as promised, is Gary Stein. Gary, first of all, good to see you again.
Good to be with you, Stanley.
And it's good to be doing our Zooms again.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be every week, but there'll be a series of them that you'll join us, schedule permitting. You've got a pretty crazy schedule for a guy approaching his 60s.
Well, no, I'm in my
60s.
60s. In fact, my birthday's coming up next week. October 15th, I'll be 63.
63.
Yeah, but I got a lot of energy, so that's why I do this schedule.
How old were you when we met? Were you in your 20s?
No, I was in, yes, I was in my 20s. We met in 87. I was 25.
So we've known each other close to 40 years.
Almost 40 years, yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
You've come a long, long, long way. In addition to running a very thriving business in Studio 83 video production and taking it into new levels and new areas, you've never given up your passion for sports. You've continued to do play-by-play for UMBC, men's basketball,
true,
lacrosse,
baseball now.
Man, you're a man of all seasons.
I've got Virginia Union football now.
Okay,
so I do 5 games there. I also
Are those the games you do down in Richmond?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, a great program. One of the top programs in D2 football.
Okay.
In fact, they're 8th in the country. And I do Stevenson when Glenn can't do it. So I've got a lot going on now. I've got the CBM Sports gig in the morning. So basically right now I'm working. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I'm working till about, I would say, maybe 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Not continuously all the way through. I take a little break during the day. But there's stuff going on, as you know, minute by minute in sports. So you got to keep up with it. But, yeah, I enjoy it.
So tell us about the CBM gig. First of all, how did it come about? And secondly, when are you on?
So CBM came about, I was contacted in July by CBM. What happened was Steve Dreppert and I used to work together. You probably know him, Steve, from CBS Radio.
Sure.
Steve is one of the greatest producers.
Fired me.
Did he really?
Yeah. But it
wasn't his call, though.
It was at the behest of Bill Pasha.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Steve's a good guy. But anyway, Steve's one of the best producers.
Bill wasn't particularly
all right.
good guy.
I didn't know Bill that well.
Let me get that out there.
Thank you for doing that.
He probably bought PressBox last night with my luck. Go ahead.
Steve called me in July. He had taken the gig at CBM. He's the top production guy, responsible for all the sound and everything. And they're making a big push over there. They're trying to change that station. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, imaging, right. It's still going to be a conservative talk station, but the imaging. And so he calls me and he goes, hey, we had a meeting the other day, and we're talking about how to, like what to do in programming, like how to make it better. And Steve brought up sports. And Sean Casey, the program director there, liked that idea and said, well, who would we hire? And so Steve said, why don't you call Gary Stein? He used to work with him at CBS for all those years, and I don't think he's doing anything right now in terms of that.
Yeah.
Maybe he would do it. So I came in, we had a meeting, couple meetings, and we agreed on a deal, and I started on August 5th, which was my wedding anniversary date.
So it's already been 2 months.
Over 2 months, a little bit over 2 months. And I think, we're doing it differently there than most other people do it in town. First of all, the biggest thing is, if you listen to the other stations, except for 105.7, they don't give the sports reports a lot of time. Like, if you listen to BAL, they give it a minute. Okay. And in the afternoons, they give it 30 seconds. Okay, we give it 90 seconds in the morning and 2.5 minutes. 90 seconds at the top of the hour and 2.5 minutes at the bottom of the hour. That's a long time.
That is a long time.
So my point is, we can do stories. Like, it's not just a rip and read, a score. Like, we can actually talk about issues and things like that. And so that's what I'm happy about.
Yeah.
Is
that something that you pushed for? In other words, you didn't want to just do rip and
in other
read
words,
them.
when I went to see Nick, the owner, I said, look, if I'm just going to rip and read and you're giving me 30 seconds, I don't want to do it.
Right.
But if you're going to give me an opportunity to talk about things that are going on in sports, like college sports.
Be a little thought-provoking.
Yeah, it's a whole new world out there, and there's some politics in sports also. So let's talk about that, although I try to keep that to a minimum. But yeah, so he agreed, and that's what they were looking for. And so I'm really happy with it. I think we're doing what nobody else is doing in town.
So tell me, what time do you you mentioned you get up at 5 in the morning, but what time do your sports reports start, and they're top and bottom of the hour?
Correct. Top and bottom, so 05 and 35. I do live sports with the morning drive show, Sean Casey and Bruce Elliott, from 6:05 until 8:35. Okay, so 05, 35, 05, 35.
5 reports.
6, actually.
6, okay.
And then 9:05.
Right.
9:05, the next show comes on, and I don't do live anymore, but I tape 3 more reports that run at 9:05, 9:35, 10:05, 10:35, 11:05, 11:35. So basically from 6 in the morning until noon, there's sports on CBS.
And are those reports, I'm not saying are all of them new after 9:05, starting at 9:35, are they rotated so there might be something fresh if you're listening?
Right. So I
know a lot of listeners of CBM are on that station.
They are. I mean, the time spent listening on that station is one of the highest in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So what I do is I tape 3 reports. We run 3 different reports, and we rotate them.
Gotcha.
So there's not each one is different, but every other one is different.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Right. So it's going well, and I'm enjoying it, and
getting some feedback on it.
A lot of feedback. So I've got feedback on my Twitter account, and also we get a lot of texts and emails at CBM.
Right.
People saying they love it, they don't love it. That's fine, but also suggestions on what to cover. My grandson plays for this university. It's like interesting stuff. No, I'm saying somebody right. Somebody wrote in.
I knew that.
But so it's really interesting what people like, what people want to hear, and the stories that people have.
Okay.
Like I got this one guy who writes me about high school sports all the time.
Right.
Like he's my high school guy.
Right.
And I love it.
All right.
It's good stuff.
Great stuff.
Thank you.
So what's on your mind sports-wise right now? What do you think of the end of the Orioles season, and how do you think the Ravens are progressing this year?
I mean, I wasn't disappointed at the end of the Orioles season, and I'll tell you why. Because you and I may disagree on this. I'm a journey guy, okay? I'm not a result at the end of the year. If they don't win the World Series, I'm out type of guy. I enjoyed the journey, right? I enjoy the ups and downs. I understand, because I'm not a fan like I used to be when I was 15 or 20 years old, whatever. Like, I like the whole thing. That's kind of my thing with CBM is I like the whole story. Okay, and so I wasn't completely disappointed when the Orioles, went out.
Sounds like you're almost glad, Gary.
No,
You
wasn't glad.
Giddy about it. Yeah.
No, I'm not giddy.
There's more of a story that way. Yeah.
I'm not giddy.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot of things that they need to fix, and who knows if they're going to have the money to fix them.
Well, I wrote my piece, and I haven't written for a week. I wrote the piece after Elias and Hyde talked, and I focused in on my question to Elias was. I said everybody in this room, meaning the Rich Dubroffs, Peter Schmucks,
the
Alex
guys who cover
Costa, all the people, Rock Kabatko. I said everybody in this room, knows the constraints you've been under from a dollar perspective.
Right.
I said, are you optimistic that new ownership will give you the financial clout? And that doesn't mean competing with the Dodgers for the Mookie Betts of the world, but upping that payroll somewhat significantly over the next 2 or 3 years to really cover all your bases. I felt that part of what went wrong this year is, especially when the injuries cropped up, they didn't have the reinforcements necessary.
Well,
there
but
was
he
a
made
big drop off.
Yeah, but he made moves at the trading deadline which focused on pitching, which he himself said turned out that it wasn't the right move.
Yeah, at the time, building up to it, it was the right move. This club was offensively, I won't call them a juggernaut, but through early July, they were very good. They were one of the top 5 offensive teams in baseball. It was
then the injuries hit.
And timing of the injuries. Jordan Westberg gets hurt on July 20th. His trades are not for Austin Slater and Eloy Jimenez. He's going to go out and get a more substantial bat. Yeah. So I just think they went into the season short-stocked. They made that great trade picking up Burns, albeit probably for 1 year, but they knew that Kyle Bradish had a suspect situation going into the season that blew up on them, and they really didn't have the reinforcements ready, because they had Tyler Wells, Means, and him go down. I think with this club's finances now, you'll have Grayson, Eflin. There'll be another plug-in $20 million type of pitcher. So I think, I'm not talking pie in the sky that they're going to go out and sign Corbin Burns for 5 years at $35 a year, but a 3-year, $60 million contract should be in this ball club's wheelhouse.
So you think Corbin Burns is a 5-year, $175 million guy?
Probably a little bit less than 175, but he's going to be a substantial guy.
Yeah, so the Orioles aren't going to get him.
I don't see them playing in that world because they've got some other things going on. They got to decide on Santander. And if Santander isn't back, are you ready to just turn the outfield over to Mullins, Kjerstad, and Kowser? I'm not quite ready. I think they need 1 or 2 other real bats, the more proven bats, like the Indians' former player Michael Brantley went to Houston when Houston was young and really good, but they had a real professional at bat, a veteran guy when he was healthy.
I can't see him signing Santander, and I'm not even sure that I would, because what is he, 30 years old?
Yeah,
he doesn't have.
He's 29. He'll be 30 29. By the time the season starts.
He doesn't have, and this isn't a knock necessarily, but he doesn't have the greatest body. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not an athletic 29-year-old who I still think has 8 or 10 more great years left in him. I don't know that he has a 5-year contract left.
I don't know that he'll get 5, but I think 3 or 4 are possible
if he accepts it.
I think the bidding is going to be pretty strong for him. I think the Phillies, who have I was reading about their team last night. They're interested in upgrading substantially in the outfield.
So if you do that, if you don't sign him, right, and you turn it over to Kjerstad or whatever you end up doing, one of Elias's goals was to make them less home run dependent in the first place. So maybe they go out and they get a more versatile bat as opposed to a bat like Santander.
We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. It's going to be a very interesting offseason this year because I do think for the first time since John Angelos took over from his dad, I think they will have resources to expand this payroll substantially.
Well, what's the number? What was their number this year? 90 plus?
I think their payroll, including the additions that they made at the deadline,
it's probably over 100 at that point.
No, I don't think so. I think it was still in the 80s or 90s.
So it's substantial 120?
125 to 125 to 140.
Okay.
I think they belong with the support that they have and the potential to upgrade the support even more. And Mike Elias has alluded to also that they intend to monetize the ballpark more, meaning do a better job at everything. really making the place a booming cash register.
Which means that people are going to have to pay more for.
There's no question the ticket prices are going to go up.
Concession prices?
I think they have a hard time raising concession prices.
They're pretty
anymore.
high.
Yeah.
Baltimore apparently has the second highest beer price in Major League Baseball.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Do you know who's number one?
Milwaukee.
Nope. That's the lowest, along with Coors Field.
Philadelphia.
Nope.
Yankees.
Nope. Yankees are in the middle. I just did a story on this.
All right, go ahead.
Nats.
The Nats have
the highest beer price in Major League Baseball.
Well, that's a city. San Francisco, are they near the
San
top?
Francisco's up there, yeah.
Okay. Boston?
Boston's up there.
Okay.
Yeah, the two cheapest are Coors Field, Colorado,
right.
and Brewers Park, whatever it's
That's
called.
because they got a pipeline from the Coors.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah. All right. Let's turn from baseball to
my passion.
Your passion.
Yeah.
And we've only got 2 minutes.
We got a couple minutes. But before we do switch, let me remind you about what's going on at Live Casino, because every time
I would love for you to do that.
Well,
because this is an interesting week. It's a little.
It is.
It's a little. It could be a little confusing.
It could be a little confusing. But so right now, if you're at Live Casino, you want to see Baltimore scoring touchdowns, because every time that Baltimore or Washington is home this season,
they got to
Live
be
Rewards.
home.
Yes, they got to be home. Live Rewards members get $7 in free slot play when they score a touchdown during said home game. So Baltimore home this weekend. $7 in free slot play for Live Rewards members who have their card inserted into the slot machine, any slot machine. You have to be actively playing, but once that touchdown scores, you get your prize, $7 in free slot play. Adirona Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So apparently it was only confusing to me. It's really not that confusing. It's Washington or Baltimore has
but I
to
think
be home.
I think people are going to appreciate that you made sure that we clarified. So
okay.
But
shouldn't they have done double for Sunday because Baltimore's playing Washington?
I would agree there should have been a special promotion.
Special.
But you know what? We're so darn happy to have Live Casino, which I brought into the fold in this place, and now I've been castigated.
If you say so yourself.
I'm virtually not even allowed out there.
Really?
No.
Why? Because you're a bad influence on
Glenn
people?
and Griffin now own that.
Gotcha.
I lost it in the pandemic. They were willing to go out there and risk their lives.
Okay.
Anyway. That is a great deal. Gary, we're going to have Bo on in just a moment, and we'll talk more in detail about this game. But this is a fascinating game Sunday.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game. It's the two highest scoring teams in the league, probably the two most exciting quarterbacks in the league. And I think the Ravens are going to have trouble with Jaden Daniels, but I do think though that the Ravens, and we can talk about it with Bo, I think they have enough to overcome here, and I'm gonna take the Ravens. Although 6.5 points, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take the points necessarily.
I took in our weekly bet-em picks. Glenn and I every Thursday we pick the Raven game by the spread, then we pick a lock winner by the spread, and a lock loser by the spread. In other words, so this week I took the Tennessee Titans. They're a 1.5 point underdog against Indy in Tennessee.
Okay.
I took basically Tennessee to lose by more than the 1.5.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, so what did you do with the Ravens?
I took the
Commanders?
6.5 points. I thought it was a little too high. I think the Ravens will win the game. I think Justin that was a brief, something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. I think I would probably take the Commanders too, actually.
Yeah. I love Jaden Daniels. All right. Joining us now is the longtime beat writer of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com, beat writer for the Baltimore Ravens. It is Bo Smolka. And, Bo, you're on with Stan and Gary Stein. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Bo.
Good. Let me just jump in. When it was 0-2, how are you feeling that we'd be after 5 games, Bo?
Well, I'll say this. Would they be 3-2? I didn't think they'd be 3-2, quite honestly, with the schedule that was upcoming. I didn't think they'd be 3-2. They went to Kansas City and nearly won. They were literally 1 inch from winning that game.
Yep.
Or at least having a chance to win. They would have gone for 2. So, they came out of that game feeling, well, they definitely had a hiccup there against the Raiders, and suddenly you're looking 0-2 and really starting to question yourself with the schedule coming up with the Bills and the Bengals, and it looked daunting. But obviously the Bengals haven't really got out of their own way. And the Ravens have played more in the last 3 weeks like kind of they expected to play. Really, if you look at that The Dallas game, they played terrifically for 3 quarters, and they played very well against Buffalo. They obviously got exposed in some ways against Cincinnati, but they squeaked out a win. And, in the NFL, that's really all that matters. Like I told people last week, winning ugly is still winning, and that's all that they care about. So after 2 weeks, I think there were plenty of questions. I did not think they'd be 3-2. I thought that Raiders loss might really lead to something that could trip them up. But to their credit, they kind of rebounded, and here they are at 3-2.
So Bo, I'm usually not a proponent of looking at strength of schedule necessarily, like looking at your past opponents. But if you do that this week, okay, you'll see that the Commanders haven't really played anybody this year. The only winning team I think they've even played is the Buccaneers, and that doesn't count because they're in the NFC South. And they did beat the Bengals better than the Ravens beat the Bengals. But my point is, though, the Ravens have played the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Cowboys among the 5 teams. Do you put stock in strength of schedule right now? And if you do, wouldn't that give the Ravens a clear edge over the Commanders?
And that's probably why they're 6.5-point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Go ahead, Bo.
I mean, yeah, probably. And we were talking this week, Zach Orr, this new first-year defensive coordinator, in his first 5 weeks, he had to face Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow plus Dak Prescott.
Correct.
I mean, that's an unbelievable run of teams that he had. And now he's got Jaden Daniels. So it's been a real test to him. So, yeah, they've definitely faced a really tough schedule, much tougher than Washington's, to your point. Does it make them more battle-tested and more ready now to win or be better? Hard to say, but they've certainly seen a tougher schedule. And to your point, I think this will be the best team that Washington has seen and that Jaden Daniels has faced.
Let me ask you a question about the Commanders, though. I don't know how closely you've been able to observe them or you're looking at numbers or anything, but what do you think of the job Dan Quinn has done to this point?
I mean, it's hard to say. It's done a really good job. I mean, I think everything about this organization, quite frankly, just feels fresh, right? I mean, they've been, I grew up in Washington. I wasn't a big Washington fan, but I have a lot. What's that?
The poison's out of the air.
That's true.
That's the thing. And it just feels fresh. And I think they've been just so starved for that. And so I think in a lot of ways, anything would have felt better. Obviously, when you bring in a guy like Jaden Daniels, he's got this energy, and they're succeeding with him, and so now there's a real momentum in the air there. And then you get players who are believing, and that becomes part of it. And so it's fun that they're relevant again. I know the two towns, Baltimore and Washington, are promoting this big rivalry. I will say the players, when you talk to the players, you don't feel that really. For the Ravens, the AFC North games they're just going to be the bigger rivals. But the teams and the fan bases, it's really fun. And I know tickets are hard to get right now because you've got Jackson and Daniels, and it's considered the game of the week in the league. So that's all really fun. But Quinn's done a great job, and they got their team believing, and they've got a quarterback who leads them, and they're very efficient on offense. And so they're doing a lot of things really well.
You referenced that this is a tough ticket to get. Isn't this the game that they tried to flex to move it to either the later game or the night game?
Yeah, NBC wanted this one, and then but CBS.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Really?
NBC had asked for it, and CBS blocked them from getting it. And so
I like
I'm
1 o'clock
for that because I prefer the 1 o'clock games than writing a story at 1 a.m.
Absolutely. Hey, Bo, you were talking about the Commanders and what they've been able to do. And I looked at some film of Jaden Daniels. I've got that all 22. To me, and I would get your opinion on this, it seems to me that Daniels is the type of quarterback that would give the Ravens the most problems. And what I mean by that is not necessarily his legs. He's going to give everybody problems. But Daniels likes to throw the long ball. The Ravens have had difficulty covering that, number one, and he's good at it. But even more importantly, Bo, if you look at his game, to the outside of the numbers, that's where he is his best. If you can keep him in the middle of the field and create traffic in there, he kind of gets lost a little. But if you allow his receivers to have those outs outside the numbers, he's deadly. And so I wanted to get your thought on that, on how the Ravens would approach that this Sunday.
Well, they know they got their hands full, especially where the secondary is played. I think you're right. I think they do absolutely have to be ready for the deep ball. That's going to be on Marcus Williams to step up and make a big play,
Exactly.
which hasn't really happened much this year. Eddie Jackson maybe, Kyle Hamilton, depending on how they use him. I've always been a proponent that they're a better team with Hamilton near the line of scrimmage and the way he can disrupt things, but they may want to have him ranging deeper if that's a feel that he can he can affect the game that way. Their secondary is, I'll say this, they're smarting a little bit, and Kyle Hamilton spoke on Wednesday after practice, and he's a stand-up guy, and you could tell in his voice that there's some wounded pride in that secondary with the way they've been playing, and they're ranked among the last teams in the league in passing defense, and sometimes those statistics get skewed because a team gets behind, so they're throwing a ton, and therefore there's a lot of yardage, and so that hurts. But they know they haven't played as well as they should. And Hamilton straight up said, look, we need to get off blocks. We need to cover. We need to do these things. And we've been saying it for 5 weeks, but we need to actually start doing it. So they feel this is a real challenge to them because they know Daniels can air it out, and they do have good receivers, and they do move the ball. So it's on them. I mean, it's on this defense to play better than they've played, and Daniels will definitely present that challenge.
Is that John Harbaugh calling you, Bo, for some
advice? I don't think so, but maybe.
All right. Hey, you're listening to the Glenn Clark Radio Show, brought to you by Live Casino. Want to ask you about one play. I always have several questions about decisions, but this is one where you and Gary probably know the rule. That face mask of Mark Andrews last Sunday that they missed. They just blatantly missed it. That's not challengeable?
No, it's not. It's not challengeable.
Okay.
But it is a penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be a penalty.
It should have been a penalty. Yeah. But there was no penalty call.
It's interesting that certain things are not challengeable in that, and and then what happens sometimes, and it's really frustrating, is 4 to 5 days later, the player will get a fine for a play that wasn't even penalized during the game.
Right.
And that's happened, especially, for example, the hip drop tackle. It didn't happen to Andrews this past week, but they made the hip drop tackle illegal this year. And this summer, the referees came and did a little clinic at the Ravens complex for the media, which they do every year. And the referee there that day straight up said, this is going to be a hard play to officiate on the field. Now, the player might get fined afterwards, but it's hard for us to call that in the moment. And from what I can tell, there have been probably 4 or 5 injuries this year on what should have been called as hip drop tackles. They're not called on the field. A player is fined later in the week, but they have no recourse for actually going back and calling that from above that at that moment. And a situation like that, and a situation like you're talking about, you'd like to think they could do that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say, guys. Is I just don't understand. If the goal is to get it right as much as possible, why wouldn't New York, because New York watches every game, right? Why wouldn't they just radio down to the field in the referee's ear and say, hey, you missed that one?
I tend to agree with you. I think they probably feel that there's so many pauses in games now that if you allow them to challenge everything.
But when it's so egregious.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying I disagree.
Yeah, I think I suspect it comes down to the league, like where is that line drawn? I'm not saying it's a good argument, but are you going to do that on a pass interference play? Are you going to do it on a holding play? Are you only going to do it on face masks? Are you only going to do it when the quarterback is rough? And I don't know the answer, but I think that's part of what they wrestle with.
Bo, on the injury front, saw some of these guys that kind of popped up. Obviously, Marlon Humphrey leaving the game in a boot on Sunday, and Ronnie Stanley and Bateman. Is there any reason to think that they're in danger of missing this weekend?
I mean, they were all back yesterday, so that is trending in the right direction. And they were listed as limited. I'll say this: Stanley, to me, has been one of the stories of the season so far. I think he's just played terrific football. And they needed that from him with the offensive line in rebuild mode. So I think he's been just a great player this year. Humphrey was on the field yesterday in the little bit that we were allowed to watch. He seemed to be moving okay. I would think he'll play. We'll see what I imagine they'll all be listed as questionable. Bateman, they were all on the field yesterday, so my guess is they're all trending toward playing.
And then Voorhees was a full participant this week too, right? So do you see him jumping right back into the starting lineup, or do you think they'll keep rolling with how they've gone the last 2 weeks?
Honestly, I think they'll keep rolling how they are. I think they like how McCary's played at left guard. I think they feel Rosengarten is really developing at right tackle. And as of now, I'd be surprised if they don't start the game Sunday as they've played the last few. Even if Voorhees is ready to go, I think they're going to keep McCary at left guard and Rosengarten at right tackle.
I want to I'm going to turn you over to Gary for one last question, but I have one, and that is the early season Justin Tucker woes. I probably have never seen a kicker do as poorly as Justin was and have so little really deep down concern about it. And it looks like he bounced back last week with a really, really nice comeback week. Were you ever concerned? Do you think John Harbaugh was real concerned, or they just thought he got his mechanics out of whack and he was going to get him back?
I mean, I think they feel the mechanics were out of whack and they'd get him back. The distance was never the issue on the kicks, and all three of those misses this year all kind of leaked out to the left. Mm-hmm. And so every single one of them looked pretty much the same. And so I think Tucker said to us, I think it was just a mechanical thing. We'll get it right. I'll say this. I'm not sure. He comes out for that 56-yarder at Cincinnati to tie the game. I think the feeling among the fan base was not like it had been, say, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I don't think everyone was convinced he was going to make that kick. And 4 years ago, you just knew he was going to make the kick. Yeah. But it wasn't an easy kick. The wind was blowing. If you watch that kick from the end zone camera, he actually starts it outside the upright and played the wind like a golfer, and it drifted back in and nailed it. And so Chris Horton, the special teams coordinator, yesterday said, "Yeah, Tucker just smashed that kick." There, and he's not, he has no reservations about him. He is still who he is. But I'll say I think there has to be maybe a sigh or a quiet sigh somewhere along that building that he made that kick.
Bo, let me ask you a final question on the Ravens receiving core. I think most people would acknowledge that after Zay Flowers, you don't really have a lot of contribution there from Aguilar and, even from Bateman for that matter. Tylan Wallace had a couple big catches, but really nothing there. My question is, and I know there's conversations under the surface, but do you think the Ravens are seriously entertaining an offer for Davante Adams? And if so, do you think that's the right move?
Yeah, Glenn and I talked about this too. I don't think so. And I mean, there's a couple things in play. If he comes in here, what would be the role and what would be the load? And as you point out, as of now, the receivers aren't getting a whole lot of touches.
Right.
And so what are you giving up for that when this team is who they are? They're going to run the ball a ton when they're winning. They're going to pass intermittently. This is not a team. Lamar Jackson, if they're playing well, he's not throwing 45 passes a game. And so I just think for what you would give up and what what it would cost, or what ultimately, what's the benefit? I don't think the benefit is worth the cost, given that the guys you already have aren't. And I don't think it's a function of, well, Bateman's just dropping everything or Bateman's not getting open. It's just a matter of how they run their offense. And it's not like if Davante Adams come in, suddenly they're going to throw 50 times. It's not how they play. So I don't see it.
And
right.
Bo,
I would agree.
I might add, they don't have just one really good tight end, not two really good tight ends. Charlie Kohler now has arrived. But the first half, before I let you go, was anything wrong with Andrews? He was. It almost looked like he wasn't in the game.
The first half of the game at Cincinnati?
Against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I wasn't at Cincinnati, so I don't know. But, I mean, obviously a lot of people are asking about him because his workload or his production has been so down compared to previous years. And I know he had the car accident, and whether that's affected him or whether he was dealing with something even before that, I don't know. And so I can't say that about how in Cincinnati because I wasn't there, so it's hard for me to read that.
Okay.
I do think they were pleased to get him back in the mix. And I'll say this: we've asked Lamar Jackson about Andrews a couple different times, and every time Jackson says, "Hey, he's being really unselfish. He's doing this. He's doing all these things. He's doing things that matter." And the one play that struck out with me early in that game, because I remember Lamar Jackson telling me how, look, when they double Andrews, someone else is going to be open. And that's what's happening a lot. And I'm not going to throw to Andrews doubled if someone else is open. There was a 3rd and 5, and Andrews went out right to the sticks like he always does. And like 25 million times in the last 6 years, that's where Jackson throws on 3rd and 5. He's throwing to Mark Andrews for 5 yards. And they doubled Mark Andrews. And Jackson lofted the ball just over Andrews and those two defenders, and Zay Flowers was wide open behind them, and they gained like 25 yards. So I think that in some respects, I'll give Jackson credit that that's correct, that they're doing that. Andrews is getting other guys open by just being there. I'm sure Andrews is competitive and wants the ball, but, I don't know if he was physically dealing with something more, but I do think there's ways that decoying is working for them.
All right. Bo Smolka, thank you very much. Enjoy the game. PressBox beat writer on the Ravens beat. Bo Smolka for PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com. We'll talk to you next week, Bo. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks.
All right. High school sports season is well underway. County Sports Zone will be reporting every score from every event with every school at every level throughout the state all academic year long. Check it out right now at County Sports Zone, countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Did you miss either of my shows, Stan the Fan shows? Every Monday I get together with Ross Grimsley and Luke Jackson to talk baseball, but this week we were joined by former Giants coach and scout Shane Turner, and also this week Gary Stein and I caught up with Maryland five-star CEO Jeff Newman and Fair Hill Organizing Committee Chairman Michael Hankin to preview next week's event in Cecil County. You can always watch the shows at facebook.com/PressBoxSports by clicking on the videos tab, or go to PressBoxOnline.com/video or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. Back with more after this.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to the 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring locally sourced food at the Fresh Food Fest, a beer, wine, and spirits showcase, shopping, and fun for all ages. Check out the Maryland Corgi Cup, interactive kids corner, and more. It's the place to be in October. Visit maryland5star.us for tickets.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas's 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka profiles Ravens star safety Kyle Hamilton, detailing his path from growing up the son of a basketball player to choosing football, being overlooked in the draft, and turning into a defensive unicorn as a playmaking Swiss Army knife in the NFL. Also inside, meet college football players from all of the area's D1 programs and some of the area's college soccer standouts as well. PressBox is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farm stores. Or you can read the entire issue at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Well, I hope Drew doesn't resent the fact that Gary Stein and I
Wait, I didn't
jobs.
say that.
Yeah. No, that Drew Forrester said it.
Oh, Drew.
I said, I hope Drew doesn't resent that you and I have jobs. It is a head-scratcher with Glenn, to be honest.
Completely. I don't understand how
Don't say anything to him, you know. Hey, we are back on the GCR program. Again, Steve Doherty up in just a moment. He's the executive director of the Maryland State Athletic Hall of Fame. He'll join us in about 2 or 3 minutes. Rich Dubroff at the top of the hour as soon as Gary Stein leaves. A little bit later in that second hour, Brock Vereen, former NFL player, now a CBS studio analyst. He got a chance to sit down, or Glenn and Griffin had a chance to sit down with him earlier this week. We'll have Tidbit and Tubular, and you'll also hear, before the end of the program, the last segment of the Arthur Maulet show from this past Tuesday night. Gar.
Good show, by the way. My company, Studio 83, produced it.
Right.
You know, produced the broadcast, and
right.
Just really enjoy Arthur Maulet, and his guest, Justice Hill, was excellent.
Yeah. Was there a good crowd there?
It was a very good crowd.
Mothers and Timonium.
Very good crowd. Beautiful night.
How was the food?
Food was delicious.
Yeah? What'd you have?
I had a burger. I forget what they call it, but it was a burger. It was good.
They didn't call it just a burger?
No, it was called something. It had a name. Kyle Hendricks or something. I forget what it was. Kurt something.
Don't know.
No, it wasn't after a sports guy. It was after one of the mother's people.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
like
good.
Like a bouncer or something like that.
I don't know about a bouncer, but
all right.
A bartender maybe?
Bartender.
Yeah.
Could be a bartender.
Yeah, they don't have bouncers at Mothers, do they?
I don't.
I don't think
I'm
so.
just those were the days when I used to bartend at places like No Fish Today. We had bouncers.
No Fish Today?
Yeah.
The name of a place?
Yeah.
It's gone, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's gone. I don't know.
That was burnt down.
Oh, really?
Burnt down. Yeah.
Did you have a?
I had nothing.
Sure?
Nothing. I know nothing. No nothing.
You see nothing?
Yeah.
Hear nothing?
The owners.
Shoots!
The owners were Jim Kelly,
the quarterback.
Paul
Horning.
No, it was Paul. God, he's passed away.
Splittorf.
No, it wasn't Paul. No, it wasn't Paul Mittermeier.
How the heck did I come up with that?
Yeah,
Paul Splittorf, Kansas City Royal, lefty, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
You used to put Laius down and bring up
Splittorf. Yeah,
only when he pitched well, though.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Joining us right now is somebody that I've gotten to know very well over the past, I guess, 8 or 9 years, and I think it started, Gary, when he was with probably us over at Channel 2 on Inside PressBox.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
I don't know that he was the executive director yet, but we're talking with Steve Doherty, the executive director of the Maryland State Athletic Hall of Fame. Steve, welcome to the show. You know Gary Stein.
Steve, how you doing?
Good, Gary. Good. Hello, Stan. Nice to see you. Happy holidays.
All right.
Hope all's well with you guys.
Everything's good. Everything's good. Hey, wanted to have you on in front of the event coming up It's just a little bit over a month away, November 21st, which, am I right, it's a Thursday, correct?
Yes, Thursday, November 21st, 6 o'clock at Martin's West in Baltimore, Maryland, right off the Beltway.
Tell us up front, to put on an event like this, it's not cheap for anybody. So what are the tickets cost, and what do tables cost?
Okay, tickets are $100 a piece right now. They do, that's our early bird pricing, goes up on the 17th of October to $125. Table can be purchased. We have 10 at a table for $1,000. Really just trying to get folks out there to support. We've got a great class this year, some outstanding athletes. Tim Kirchin from ESPN, and one of our highlights this year from the University of Maryland football program, really brought the team and this program back to glory is Ralph Regent. Ralph has been a true supporter of the program, even despite all the years he's been away. But we're very excited to honor Ralph coming back for this.
How so far? I know this thing always works this way. We hope to get 400 plus people there, and right now the tickets aren't all sold yet. And it usually picks up the last 2 weeks. There's like a feeding frenzy.
Well, when word gets out, someone like Coach Regent is being honored here. It really does. Now they're football players, Stan, so they'll be the last minute. We know that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of coaches, former players, will be out there coming to the dinner and honoring him. Ralph now lives in South Carolina, so he's not around this area as much as he has been in the past.
What I was going to ask you was the early buzz, though. I know the ticket sales don't equal buzz right now. Is there a lot of buzz around Ralph coming back and being honored?
There is, because he was the offensive coordinator for that 1984 team that contended for the national championship under Bobby Ross. They're being honored at the Maryland football game the Saturday before. Not him in particular, but the team. So that was I got to tell you, every player that I've talked to, former player, they absolutely love Coach Regent. He is an unbelievable, coach to them and mentor to them, still in contact. One of our board members is a gentleman named Kevin Glover. Yep. Kevin is a center for Maryland and Detroit Lions, block for Barry Sanders. When we, voted Coach Regent this honor, he called me. He said, "I'll call Coach." 3 hours later, he calls me back and he says, "I just got off the phone with him." So he was very excited about this honor. And not only that, the rest of our class is outstanding as well.
Gary was going to ask you a little bit about that. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, and I'm looking at the class right now, and obviously they're all worthy, but the one name that pops out is Joe Ehrman, the part of the sack pack for the Colts back in the 70s. Just tell us a little bit about him. And I don't think he's local now either. Is he, or am I wrong about that?
He's in South Carolina as well. Retired. Okay. He's down in South Carolina. But, Joe Ehrman, we all know that sack pack and the excitement they brought after really a number of years of, no playoffs and things. He on the defensive side, Stan White, some of those guys are still around. Burt Jones is the quarterback in that area during that era, and then Joe became the coach and his longtime assistant and the head coach at Gilman High School and the Gilman School. And, he was actually featured on 60 Minutes one segment when he was coaching there. Just a different approach. And he's done some unbelievable things in the community with his Inside Out initiative, helping disadvantaged youth, and really just doing a great job being part of this community. And that's the same thing with another one of our honorees this year, former Baltimore Oriole, Al Bunbury. Al's been very, very active in our community, living in the Timonium area, long time. When the Orioles need someone to be there, Al's usually first to raise his hand, without a doubt. Not only that, and had an outstanding career as well.
Hey, Steve, for somebody who may not have been to one of the events, one of the galas in the past, but is considering or wants to come or find out more, like, are they approachable? Are the inductees approachable? Can people get autographs from them?
Yes.
Like, how does it work?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, at the dinner, like I said, Stan, you mentioned we would like to have about 400 people there.
Yep.
We don't have a dais. So everybody's sitting at tables. And if you are there to support one of your one of your honorees, you're going to be sitting in their area. They're very approachable. We have a cocktail hour from 6 to 7. All the honorees are there. Absolutely. We welcome everybody, and they love being part of it. You can go up, beforehand and things of that nature just to see how everything, meet the folks and things like that. In the past, we've had people like Gary Williams, Walt Williams. They're just unbelievable when it comes to the fans. All right. Really, really good class individuals, everyone that we've had.
Tell us a little bit more about what goes on at the Gala. I know Mike Gibbons and I think the folks at Robbie's First Base this year are running it, but
Yep.
There's a really primo sort of silent auction.
Sure. We got some nice items, and Robbie is going to be really doing really focused on Maryland and Orioles and Colts and things of that nature that are important to this area. Now, one thing I would suggest that for your listeners is maybe go to our website, mdsahof.com. There's some unbelievable videos there. We have an introductory video. We have an Emmy Award-winning documentarian that provides our intro videos. He does a fantastic job. You can see archival ones of Gary Williams, Walt Williams, Chris Weller from last year, Ren Bias. All right, they're on the website right now, and as soon as we finish this dinner, we'll have this year's class up there. He does an unbelievable job. It really gives you a chance as a fan to get to know these athletes and coaches. Just a really great job he does. Then we, as you mentioned, Stan, we have a nice dinner. Our Wayne Resnick and the folks at Martin's West do an unbelievable job. You and I, we all have been to a lot of these dinners, and we know how those goes, the rubber chair. But it is unbelievable the work that they do at Martin's West. They have really, really do a great job hosting us. Like I said, we're hoping to get around 400 people there. I think we will. A lot of former players for Coach Friedgen will be there. Some of the former Orioles that play with Al Bunbury should be there as well. So real good class. And then when you look at some of the other ones, gentlemen from our area, DeMatha High School grad and Rundle High School attendee at one point in time, Kyle Beckerman was a 20-year soccer player for the Real Salt Lake. Just a really great thing. He is actually being inducted in the Utah State Athletic Hall of Fame this fall as well. And we have folks like I mentioned, Al Bunbury. Another gentleman that's being inducted is Michael Burnett. He's from a family of lacrosse players. Most of them went to University of Maryland. We let him get away. Went to University of North Carolina. 4-time All-American down there. Led them to 2 national championships. Just another unbelievable. Lacrosse is big as this in this area. And from that early '80s era, he is one of the best players we've really seen come out of here. And then you have someone like Warren Gibson, softball player from Anne Arundel County, went to University of Tennessee, starred there. Really just a long time, one of the best softball players the state of Maryland's ever produced. We're very excited to have her. And then finally, rounding up our Stedman Award is Tim Kirchen, who's on ESPN, big there on a Baseball Tonight. He's been a long, long time, former beat writer for the Baltimore Orioles. And then the one gentleman I really want to touch upon is a gentleman from the Eastern Shore, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, Talvin Skinner. Talvin played basketball at UMES, took them to the NCAA for the first time ever back in when it was, I think, only like 48 teams. Starred there, got drafted, was seen in the NCAA tournament by Bill Russell when he was coach of the Seattle Supersonics. Yep. Drafted Talvin, and Talvin spent 3 years with the Seattle Supersonics. Then after that, he became a coach, and in the last 5-6 years has been an executive with the Seattle Storm of the WNBA. We all know how hot that league is getting with some of the outstanding players they have there. So we really are excited to have Talvin coming in. He's coming in from Seattle there for this dinner. So we're excited about that.
Time for one more quick question, Gary.
So, Steve, I just want to understand the qualifications for being inducted into the Hall. Do you have to? You don't have to have been born in Maryland, but you have to have had a career in Maryland.
Yeah, we're trying to, we're trying to recognize. When Stan and I first got involved in this, it was kind of limited to native Marylanders. But we've had a lot of athletes I'll give you a couple of examples. Brooks Robinson, Johnny Unitas, Wes Unseld. These folks have been ingrained in our community for decades, all right? And so when you have a Maryland State Athletic Hall of Fame and you don't have someone like Brooks Robinson in or Johnny Unitas that is synonymous with the state, you're missing out on opportunities to really recognize some of these folks that have been just a part of our fabric of our community for years and years and years. Now we do limit it to athletes only in the Maryland State Athletic Hall of Fame. So 3 years ago, we initiated the Coaches Legacy Award. That's to recognize coaches that we think are really deserving to be recognized. First one, obviously, was Gary Williams, coming from the University of Maryland, national champions. The second last year was Chris Weller, who was part of the Maryland basketball, really got the Maryland's women's basketball program off the ground back in the late 70s, early 80s, and just did a tremendous job there and really, set the stage for Brenda Fries and her teams that won a national championship, I think, in 2004. So really, we try to get to some of the pioneers that have been involved with this, with athletics in the state of Maryland, and we're excited to honor them. And that's kind of what our mission is, to recognize and honor and celebrate some of the athletic prowess and achievements that we have. Now, look, we've got some folks that, on the horizon. Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky, folks like that are just world-renowned.
We'll get to that.
What we're trying to do.
We'll get to that in good time. Steve, we really appreciate it.
Sounds good, Steve.
We wanted to, again, mention the date, November 21st at Martin's West. Ticket costs $100 per ticket.
Right.
Right now, that's the early bird cost. Table costs $1,000 for 10 tickets. November 21st. We'll talk
tickets,
soon.
You can buy tickets directly right on our website.
We'll talk soon, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye. And wanted to just say, Gary Stein, many thanks for sitting in on our first hour. Man.
Hey, wanted to wish you a happy holiday to you.
Happy holiday to you, and have a good
year.
fast if you're fasting.
I am. Thank you.
All right. That's Gary Stein, heard from 6:05 to 11:35.
That's correct.
Okay.
Every morning.
Every top and bottom of the hour. 6:05, 6:35, 5 after, 35 after.
WCBM.
On WCBM.
Yep, 6:80 a.m.
Doing us proud with doing sports the right way. All right. Hey, PressBox Print, these are the final days, just a couple days to pick up the print issue with Kyle Hamilton on the cover. Then coming back next week, a brand new print issue of PressBox. This comes out Wednesday, featuring Maryland basketball forwards Derek Queen and Julian Reese on the cover, as Brooks Dubroff profiles the Baltimore-built duo who are reconnecting in College Park in hopes to bring the Terps back to prominence. You'll find that print issue of PressBox throughout the region, including at 60 Royal Farm stores, and you could read both issues at PressBoxOnline.com. Rich Dubroff is going to join us in just a moment.
When can we expect to see that new issue out on the
Wednesday,
stand?
Wednesday the 16th.
Now,
Wednesday the 16th.
Still get the
Gary,
comment.
I'll call you later.
Okay, you got it.
All right. Thank you. Gary Stein, one of my favorite people on the face of the earth. Rich Dubroff has been operating and running the editorial side of BaltimoreBaseball.com, going on, I believe, 4 years now, and he joins us right now. Rich, how are you?
I'm great. It's actually been 6 years, but that's okay.
Jeez, whiz. Has it been 6 years? Jeez, whiz. I know you wouldn't lie about that, but I didn't. I thought it was 4, and I was worried it was 3. It's 6 years. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Well, what's funny. It's when I started. That was when they traded Machado.
Right.
That was the first. That was the first week. So that's an easy way to remember when the rebuild began.
That's a good point. Tell us what you've learned about you used to write for a number of publications online and publications, including PressBox for 1 season, 1.5 seasons. But tell us what you've learned operating this about the passion of the Baltimore baseball fan, Rich?
Well, I don't operate it. I mean, Steve Cockey is our
I said
you
operate the editorial.
And
You operate the editorial side. Yeah.
But the fans are, the fans are obviously very, 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 very passionate. Interest has actually picked up in the postseason, which is very interesting. But I mean, and it won't be as, fans won't be as angry, a month from now as they are now. But it's just interesting because people are very, very passionate about the Orioles and very, very disappointed in how they did. But no, I mean, there are all kinds of things I've learned, but I think you really want to talk to me about the Orioles and not the ins and outs of a website. But it really is a fan base that's been following the team for a very long time. As long as you have in many cases.
Is the fan base
it's a loyal fan base?
Is the fan base even more energized with the new ownership? Is it a positive? No matter how you felt about the Angelos family, is it a positive that they're out of the picture now?
I mean, I think so. But it's funny, and I know. I know you knew John.
Yeah, I knew John
pretty well. And also there were a lot of good things that John did, and that shouldn't be overlooked. The most important thing was he allowed the rebuild to take place, which probably would not have been allowed to occur had Peter Peter was still running the ball club, and he encouraged the Orioles to go into international scouting, which was highly restricted under Peter Angelos. He and his brother recruited Mike Elias to engineer the rebuild. So there were a lot of positive things that came out of John Angelos, but he was undercapitalized.
Yep. No
and he made some statements to the press that some of which we witnessed that were unfortunate.
Yep.
And he got himself in hot water with the fans over that, and now we have David Rubenstein is a more traditional owner. If you take away the serving as Mr. Splash and throwing the caps around, it's more of a contemporary
modern sports ownership. Yeah, modern sports ownership.
I mean, the Angelos were basically one of the last mom and pop major league sports owners, and Rubenstein is not. And I think that, the fans are looking forward to, seeing the Orioles be a little more aggressive in the free agent market, which I think they will be, though I don't think they're going to go crazy, but I think that they're going to be, more in line with league average.
Yeah.
Than,
I would think
than we saw before.
Yeah. Do you expect the payroll to go up roughly $25 to $35 million this year from what it ended at, including Eflin's contract and all that and Trevor
right.
Rogers?
Well, it's funny, Stan. Even under John, the payroll was trending. The payroll was trending up.
Yeah.
It was going up. It had gone up. 15 or 20%. 20% in a couple of those years, which fans were disappointed about, but still, that still was a substantial increase. And I don't know if 25 or 30 million, but I think it'll be higher because I think the payroll ended somewhere around 100. I think it was around 108 million. I'll have to check that. And I think league average would be, in the 155 to 160 million range. And you thinking, well, 25 or 30, that's certainly possible. It depends what kind of what kind of free agent investments they make.
What are your initial impressions with the mini shakeup of Bader being reassigned to actually an interesting position, running Masson under Katie Griggs, and what are your thoughts about that? I think the Sun reported yesterday there are actually 6 major positions that they're going to fill with new people.
Well, I think it goes back to what I said a couple of minutes ago. I think it's just an example of current Major League Sports ownership, how they're going to run the business, having more people. The Orioles had a very, very small front office staff in everything, in tickets, ticket sales. They had, almost no marketing. Their community relations department was very, very small. Scouting was incredibly small. I mean, scouting has been, beefed up, especially in Latin America. But I think in all these examples, you're just seeing the Orioles become more like other Major League Sports franchises.
Rich, obviously Mike Elias has Brandon Hyde's back here, and I think he also, I don't think he deserves to have been fired or anything like many fans are obviously calling for. What are your overall feelings about Brandon Hyde as he enters 2025? Like what has to happen next season, in order for him to kind of, I guess, regain the trust of the fan base? Not that he necessarily needs the trust of the fan base.
Well, he doesn't need the trust of the fan base. He needs the trust of the front office, the ownership, and the players. And I think a lot of times that fans don't really know what a manager does these days, because they were brought up on big personality managers. A lot of the fans still remember Earl Weaver. I mean, I know you don't, but they remember those big personality managers.
He's older than he looks, Rich.
Okay.
Griffin is older than he looks, yeah. All right, go ahead.
Well, but still, I mean, they're not managers who are yelling and screaming at umpires all the time and taking bases and turning their caps around. And that's what I think a lot of fans look at managers for. And then they judge them on, well, when do they put up pinch hitters? When do they change out pitchers? And a lot of times they get frustrated that Hyde, doesn't go with starters that long, in fact he actually goes with starters longer than most managers do. But he manages a lot like most other managers manage. I mean, I wrote this morning about Hyde, which I think you're referring to, and I watched in watching those 2 wild card games. Well, Matt Quatraro, the Royals manager, managed very similarly in moving pitchers out, and they a lot of fans are mad because they saw Cleveland last night score a decisive run on a suicide squeeze, but those kinds of moves are made very rarely these days in baseball. It's not just the Orioles. I mean, the Orioles have, bunted very, very few times. I think they had 9 sacrifice hits. It was something like that, 9 or 13, or, I should have looked that up before I said it, but it's very, very low. But there's no team in baseball that bunts every game like they did when the pitchers hit, or when there were, weaker hitting good fielding players in the lineup. It's just not how it's not, for better or worse, it's not how the game is played. And I think that a lot of people would like to see, some more aggressive kind of play. But if you look at like Orioles pinch hitters, they had well over a 300 average.
Exactly.
And that's something the manager does is select the pinch hitters. And what a lot of fans remember is, he sent Kobe Mayo up to bat for Colton Cowser early in, Mayo's time here, which didn't work out. And and people are frustrated that they haven't won a playoff game, which I get. I mean, they were favored in 2 playoff series. They were certainly favored against the Rangers last year. They were favored against the Royals this year, and they haven't won. And they haven't won a game. And 2025 is going to be a big year for Brandon Hyde.
Rich,
it's a year that I think progress is going to have to be shown.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Rich. In finishing up with you over the next couple minutes, tell me of these players. Who do you think could be back or won't be back? All right. Corbin Burnes, Anthony Santander, and Ryan Mountcastle. Let's start with those 3.
I think that there's a chance that none of them will be back. But I think with Mountcastle, he doesn't, I think he's one of the players who's been hurt by the new dimensions, kind of like Trey Mancini was the first year that the wall was put in, and he didn't have a very impactful second half. I know he missed a month with the wrist sprain, but he hit 1 home run in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And you want more power from your first baseman, and he's getting closer to free agency. They may want to find a place for Kobe Mayo to play. So I think that he could be on the move, but it's hard to find a good hitting first baseman. And also one thing about Mountcastle is he's become a really good fielder.
Yeah, excellent
and
fielder. Yeah.
I think that he may be a finalist for the Gold Glove. And that would be, that would certainly be, interesting.
What about
Santander? I don't see Burnes and Santander being back. I think that Burnes, I give very little chance because I think that, he's going to command so many years and such big dollars that the Orioles are not going to spend on him, as terrific as he was. And Santander is 30 years old.
Right.
And I think that they can try and fill that with Heston Kjerstad and again spend their money elsewhere.
Where will the elsewhere be spent if those 3? And I agree with you. I don't think I think definitely Burnes and Mountcastle are moving on, and the club will trade Mountcastle. But the Santander thing, the only thing I question is, are you comfortable coming back next year with an outfield of Cowser, Mullins, and Kjerstad, and so they'd need to replace at least part-time platoon right-handed hitter at first, and some other outfielder that can bring some production.
Yeah, I think that I wrote this last week that I think a major thing they need to do is find a good right-handed hitting outfielder.
Yeah.
Who can, maybe one who's had postseason experience, who can provide some veteran leadership in the clubhouse. I think that's important. I think that's important to them, that they need sort of an outfield version of Jordan Lyles or Kyle Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who's not going to cost that much money, who may not be there, for more than a year or so, but who can balance that out. That outfield. Yes, you don't want 3 left-handed hitters.
Right. I look at it as being
all the time in the outfield.
I look at it as being sort of a right-handed Michael Brantley type. Somebody that's a veteran, proven hitter.
I mentioned a few of them, like Tyler O'Neill.
Right.
Would be a good one. And also, there's another interesting guy. The Red Sox had a really good year this year. Rob Refsnyder.
Yeah, he's a nice
he's a
player.
free agent.
Yep.
He's a free agent, and I think that would be, a player that they could be interested in. I have no idea. There are lots of outfielders, and I'm sure that they'll. I know that they are researching these people very, very close. Very, very closely now.
All right, I'm going to let you go after this. 2 more names. Just what the club kind of can expect next year from them as you sit here October 11th, and that is Felix Bautista and Jackson Holiday?
Okay. I think that, if on March 27th they need a save in Toronto, that Felix Bautista is going to be the guy they call on. They need, not having Bautista, hurt them badly this year. They tried, they tried with Kimbrel, and that worked for half a season and then blew up. Yep. And their other closing candidates weren't great. And I think Jackson Holiday is going to be a really fine major league player, and people ought to just remember he was the youngest player in the major leagues. He was 20 years.
Great point.
He was 20. He was 20 years old, and look at how badly Cowser did in his first year.
Yep.
And what was he, 7 for 75, I think? Mm-hmm. And then, something like that. And then, you have Mayo and Holiday who have, who've had some auditions. And, you saw some good stuff from Holiday. The problem was Jordan Westburg got hurt. Yeah. If Jordan Westburg hadn't gotten hurt, they could have spotted Holiday.
No question.
And not force fed him against all these left-handers who he wasn't ready for. They basically had no choice at that point.
Yeah. The timing of the Westburg, the combination of the Westburg trade, the injury, and the Connor Norby left them sort of with their pants pulled down. Hey, Rich.
Exactly. That was actually, because if you compare how they hit in July with how they hit in August when they didn't have Westburg. Yeah. Westburg is such an important part of the club.
All right. Hey, really appreciate your joining us today. Always read your stuff. Even though I read the Hyde piece early this morning, didn't bring it up. Excellent piece. Thanks a lot. BaltimoreBaseball.com editorial in charge of editorial is my man.
No, why don't you just say Orioles writer?
Orioles writer. All right. Orioles writer.
Orioles writer, because we have Peter Schmuck too.
All right. Oriole writers, Peter Schmuck, and our guest, Rich Dubroff. Rich, thanks. Have a great weekend. All right.
Okay, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Stan.
All right. Hey, the next Arthur Maulet show is Wednesday, October 23rd at the Gourmet inside the shops of Kenilworth, or at Kenilworth. Join Glenn, Rita, Arthur, and his special guests all season long as they travel the region, allowing you to get up close and personal with your favorite players. Find the entire schedule at PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet, MAULET. If you can't make it out, watch the show on PressBox's Facebook or YouTube page. If you missed this week's show, you can listen today. Wait a minute. You can listen tomorrow night on 105.7 The Fan. I'm sorry. But because I know we're listening to a segment at the end. Exactly. You threw me off. But join us.
A lot of opportunities.
A lot of opportunities. But join us Wednesday, October 23rd at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth for the next Arthur Maulet show. And I know it'll be well attended. We'll be back. When we come back, Glenn and Griffin had a chance to sit down with Brock Vereen, ex-NFL player, now a CBS Sports analyst on the topic of football. We'll be right back.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Hey Baltimore, it's number 10, Arthur Maulet, and I'm hoping you'll slot us in all season long for the Arthur Maulet Show. We will be traveling around the region all season, giving you the chance to get to know me and my teammates. There will be some football talk and a lot more. You can watch this show live on PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages and listen every Friday night on 105.7 The Fan. Find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet. The Arthur Maulet Show, the only show in town that's a work of art.
The next Arthur Maulet Show is Wednesday, Sunday, October 23rd at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth. It's brought to you by 1-800-GAMBLER and Easy Pass.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The drug scene in Maryland is changing. Fentanyl and xylazine are being added to street drugs, and you may not even know it. Xylazine is not even intended for humans, and fentanyl is an opioid 50 times stronger than heroin and contributed to over 80% of overdose deaths in our state. Anyone who uses drugs, even occasionally, is at risk of overdose. To learn more, visit stopoverdose.maryland.gov or call or text 988.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
PressBox's Project Game Day returns this Sunday. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, and Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo after every Ravens game this year as they break down what happened and why and what we learned in each game. You can find the show immediately following Ravens Commanders Sunday at PressBox.com/gameday, PressBoxOnline.com/gameday. That's PressBox's Project Game Day, every Ravens game day, all season long. Griffin, what's the latest news you have for us out at Live Casino?
Well, it is the latest, and it might be something that people are familiar with at this point, but every time Baltimore and Washington are playing home games this season, of course, Baltimore, big one, are at home on a Sunday, so Live Casino is the place to be because every time they score a touchdown during said home games, $7 in free slot play for Live Rewards members who have their Live Rewards cards inserted into the slot machine, correctly into any slot machine on the floor. You have to be actively playing as well, but once that touchdown is scored, you get your prize, $7 in free slot play. At Arundel Mills, must be 21 to play. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. And without further ado, Stan, Glenn and I had to do this a little bit earlier with Brock Vereen's schedule, but had a chance to preview Sunday's matchup with the CBS Sports analyst Brock Vereen right here on GCR.
Of course, coming up Sunday, Ravens Commanders on CBS. And before that, you can check out our next guest on that other pregame show Sunday, 8 a.m. to noon on CBS Sports Network. He is a former NFL safety, Brock Vereen, and he is with us now here on GCR. Brock, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Thanks for having me. I don't know if I've been more excited for a matchup this entire season. I hope it doesn't disappoint.
It really is juicy, right? Like this is it's funny to me, Brock, because everything is about the quarterbacks. And I know that there's a lot of matchup stuff there that I want to talk about, but the quarterback thing really does appear to be, I'm not going to do the bit where I say Jaden Daniels is the next Lamar Jackson I don't want to do any of that stuff because that's not fair to that young man. But, boy, everything about what we've seen, he looks as legitimate as you could possibly look 5 games into your NFL career.
The first thing that jumped out to me when I really started thinking about the game was, Lamar's kind of the old guy now, right? Not in sense of, I think it's like his 7th season. So not necessarily in the sense of years, because quarterbacks can play for a long time if they can remain healthy. In the sense of, we are now seeing a Lamar disciple, right? A guy has a great college career, then they have a great NFL career, and naturally a kid who's in high school or junior high is watching along saying, I want to do what that guy does. And it's just insane to see Lamar, who will always just be the young, funny kid who's just having more fun than everyone else out there in everyone's eyes. Oh, wait, he's old enough now to where kids who watched him and mimic his game are now in the NFL. So, yes, it is completely unfair to compare Jaden, who's played a couple games in the NFL, to a guy who's won 2 MVPs in 7 years. But it is fair to say that the Lamar disciples are officially here.
Brock, is there anything to be said for, for everything that he's done, this is a little bit different? It's the Ravens. It's that guy on the other side of the field. Like, we need to see how he reacts to it, or based on the fact that, he didn't blink under the lights on Monday Night Football, should we kind of accept that, no, this kid, having the extra year in college, all the big games he played in, there is no reason to think that this kid's going to blink no matter who's on the other side of the field and what the circumstances are?
It's completely fair to say that. And the reason being, him at LSU was him walking into every single game. Despite what LSU has been in the past, their Achilles heel has been defense in recent years. We all have these memories of fantastic defenses. That hasn't been the case. Jaden Daniels walked into every game saying, if I don't score 40 points, we're going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of weight to bear. And he won a Heisman, right? So he obviously they had, I think, 3 losses. So, there weren't any playoff implications or anything like that. But to have to walk into every game saying, my defense is terrible, I'm going to get hit a lot, and I'm still going to have to find a way to win games. Sometimes our running backs show up. Sometimes I have to run for 150 yards. So that carrying that weight for an entire season, plus being a little older now, like you said, rookies are older these days. Yeah, it's nothing will compare you to prepare you for the NFL except taking NFL snaps, right? But the mindsets that can set you up for success is, I've walked into SEC games for an entire season saying, if I don't have my best game, we cannot win. So now you put him around with that mindset, other NFL players with not a much better defense, but a little bit better defense, and a great play caller in Cliff Kingsbury. Yes, Jaden Daniels is off and running, man, and sky is the absolute limit for him just because of all that he went through in college.
Brock Vereen is with us. That other pregame show, CBS Sports Network, Sunday mornings. Brock, I wonder from a matchup standpoint, I thought the number this week that was posted, that the Ravens were favored by a touchdown, I was like, wow, that's crazy to me. But I wonder if it is matchup driven. The comparison I would make is going into the Bills game, I saw a team in Buffalo that had adjusted to being kind of run first this season, or more built establishing the pass off of the run. And admittedly, having not been able to watch every Commanders game this season, but what I've been seeing, it kind of reminds me of that. The success is predicated. If we can establish the run, we're going to be really scary, dangerous. For as many holes as the Ravens might have in their pass defense, it's really hard to establish the run against them. Is there the possibility of there being something Bills-like about this matchup for the Ravens, where if they can get the Commanders out of the run early, they could put them in a place where they're uncomfortable as the game goes on?
I would say that would definitely be the game plan. What I would say, though, is what would help Kingsbury and the play calling here is he's not afraid to dial it back and just play pepper, meaning, okay, we can't run to the left, we can't run to the right, let's do a speed screen to the left, let's do a tunnel screen to the right, let's do some RPO stuff. He has so much college video gameness to his offensive play calling, right? He's not afraid to get creative. He's not afraid to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage, whereas Buffalo is much more, we want to keep this ball moving forward. So, yes, that is the game plan for Baltimore. They should succeed in that game plan. But I do feel like if you shut down the run against Washington, they have a little more tools in their bag to where they can simulate what the run game does by the pass game, and even how Jaden Daniels runs the ball, right? Josh Allen wants to lower his shoulder. He's fast for a massive guy,
right,
but he's not necessarily quick. He wants to run between the tackles. He's not looking to get to the edge all the time. Jaden Daniels has running back speed. Jaden Daniels is probably the fastest guy on that team. So even there, if they want to involve Jaden in the run game a little more, it'll be a little bit different. But to answer your question, that's exactly what Baltimore is thinking, is what we did against Buffalo. We do this here, and we should be in a good position.
I mentioned the pass defense, Brock, and this is obviously, kind of your specialty. I know that some of this, I don't believe the Ravens are as bad as some of the numbers would make you think that they are pass defense-wise. But we also watched the second half of that game against the Bengals, and until Marlon Humphrey made an interception, they weren't stopping anything. I mean, the Bengals were moving the ball at will in that game. How concerned would you be about the Ravens from a pass defense perspective? Do you think that, it's just maybe it's fluky, or is there a real concern for you there?
I really think about it, and the concern for me, I realize, goes beyond this season. It's really been the past 2.5 years. Well, we're not at the halfway point, but 2 years and some change. You look at the fourth quarter collapses, or even a lot of games where, the other team, like last week, closes the gap, but the Ravens still win. The frustrating thing about the Ravens' pass defense over these past years is it's not as if, Jamar Chase climbed the ladder, but Marlon Humphrey was right there. So-and-so did this, but the safety was right there. There's just these brain lapses where you just scratch your head thinking, what went wrong, right? That's the frustrating part. You can live with their guy just beating your guy on a play. What you can't live with is, why is no one within 10 yards of this wide receiver? Why is Marlon Humphrey playing a different coverage than everyone else is, right? They're too talented to have these brain farts. And I bring up previous years because it's not a Zach Orr thing. This was going on for a couple years now. I cannot put my finger on how it seems there's 2 or 3 plays a game where the secondary is just not on the same page and a guy's running wide open. Sometimes the offense finds the guy, sometimes they don't. But until they find out why that is the case, they're always in danger of just giving up some random 70-yard play.
Is the offense good enough that it just might not matter? They're at a point, obviously, every metric suggests this is the best offense in football right now. If it's not Derrick Henry, then it's Lamar Jackson. Is it possible that even if the pass defense does continue to be an issue for the Ravens, they might just still be good enough to keep rolling past teams and even maybe the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs?
I would say, just like recent years, they can work through it in the regular season, but if you want to get to that Super Bowl, if you want to win that Super Bowl, you have to clean it up, right? This has been the case going on 3 years now, and Lamar just keeps winning MVPs, and the offense just keeps looking awesome, and Lamar's everyone's favorite player unless you're in the AFC North, right? But if you want to win a Super Bowl, which the Ravens, as long as Lamar is there, as long as this team is constructed the way that it is, as long as John Harbaugh is there, is the goal every single season. They have to clean it up if a Super Bowl is the goal. The regular season, they'll be fine. But when you start talking the Patrick Mahomes conversation, and you start talking about teams that have always gotten in their way, that's why. It's because you start facing teams that come playoff time, any mistake, we are going to capitalize off it, right? Jaden Daniels may not be at a point yet where he can see that Marlon Humphrey went one way and the receiver went the other way. But the Patrick Mahomes and the playoff quarterbacks that they always run into in those conference games, they're going to find those guys.
What do you think about the idea of them dipping their toes into the trade waters? I don't know, maybe say like a Devontae Adams, hypothetically.
I don't understand how you do not give everything you can for Devontae Adams.
Wow.
I saw the Derrick Henry trade as we're all in on this year. Money and age and injuries, we're not worried about that. I want teams to take the Rams strategy when they went to the Super Bowl and won it, right? Hey, we don't even care about next year. We have money. We have talent. Guys aren't necessarily spring chickens anymore. We're all in on this year. I would love for the Ravens to take that mindset. The talent is there. The depth is there, so they'd actually be in better position than the Rams because they had a bunch of great starters. They didn't really have many backups, but the Ravens develop guys better than anyone. Go all out on this year, and if everything collapses 2 years from now because of it, if you have a Super Bowl ring, hey, Rams fans are fine because they're still riding high, right?
Right.
I want them to go all in and say, we can build for the future. We've built for the future in recent years, which can allow us to go all in on this year and just deal with the consequences at a later date.
And you think that Adams is so I think somebody would say, well, wouldn't you be better trying to fix the defense at this point? Like, given what we're just talking about, the struggles in the back end. But does Adams just have that, like, you can't get a player like this. Who cares where it is? Go get that guy.
Exactly. You are getting a guy who redefined route running, right? I'm a massive Davante Adams guy. Only this year did I finally admit, okay, he's lost a step or two. But I firmly believe that there is route running before Davante Adams, and there is route running after Davante Adams. You go get that guy. He's hungry. He doesn't need to be your home run guy. That's what Zay Flowers is for. He just needs a consistent 3rd and 8, he being Lamar. 3rd and 8, I know where I'm going, and he's going to be open. And when I throw the ball, he's going to catch it no matter where he is. Davante Adams is worthy of that. And again, the secondary issues, it's not a talent thing. 31 teams in the NFL would want Marlon Humphrey. 31 teams in the NFL would want Kyle Hamilton. It's just guys are in the wrong place. So from a talent standpoint, I don't see a bunch of issues in the secondary. I don't see a bunch of guys that need to be benched. It's just a coaching thing, and it's a culture thing, unfortunately, but it needs to be fixed. You go get Davante Adams 10 times out of 10.
Brock, before I let you go, I know you're also doing stuff with Big Ten Network. Maryland's got a big one tonight against Northwestern. I say big not because the matchup's big, because, like, they at this point damn well better win that game if they want to have a path forward to even get into bowl eligible. And look, I think we all know Indiana's really good, and it's not like they've had shameful. I think Michigan State's a little bit better than maybe we thought they were going to be coming into the season. But, boy, you look ahead for this Maryland team, and as much as I'm a believer, and I think Billy Edwards has played really well, and we know Ty Felton is a superstar, but it's USC, at Minnesota, at Oregon. Even Rutgers later on in the year doesn't look like the gimme that you thought it was. It's really perilous for finding the 3 more wins they need to find just to get bowl eligible this season.
You're absolutely right. Now, by the end of the season, people will realize this Indiana team is just different, and that loss won't look as bad. People will realize next year when Michigan State is really dang good, because right now it's a bunch of 18-year-olds running around who are all going to be really good. So that loss will hurt less when Michigan State becomes better in the coming years. But my frustration with Maryland is there was this assumption that, okay, there's no more Big Ten East and West. They don't have to play the top dogs every year with 3 guaranteed losses with Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State. Maryland is going to benefit more than anyone from no divisions anymore. And there was this assumption that they were just going to be guaranteed 9 wins now because they didn't have to play those teams every year. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to keep improving. It's almost as if they let their foot off the gas because they don't have to play those 3 every year, and how disappointing it would be to finally get out under the umbrella of the Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State 3 guaranteed losses every single year, and then you fall flat on your face and perform worse. Their backs are against the wall. They're going to need a little bit of magic. They're going to need to beat some of the Rutgers or teams that on paper are a little bit better than them right now. I love locks. I don't know anyone who doesn't love locks. But they've burned every margin for error that they've had, and they need to play perfect for the remainder of the year.
I am, maybe like the trip to Minnesota. That might need to be a win. I know you'd be okay with that, right, Brock? You'd be totally good.
Just for you, yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. At Brock Vereen is how you give him a follow, and of course that other pregame show Sunday mornings, CBS Sports Network from 8 to noon. Brock, really enjoyed this, man. Thank you for taking the time for us, and look forward to doing this again down the road.
Anytime, my friend.
Very informative. Brock Vereen of CBS Sports, interviewed by Glenn Clark and Griffin Bass, and it is the Glenn Clark Radio Show.
I was curious if, because obviously Brock talked about, the communication, I guess, being, part of the issue with, some of these lapses that we've had in the secondary.
Yeah.
They brought in Dean Pease earlier this week. Zach Orr brought in Dean Pease as just kind of a defensive advisor. Did you have any thoughts on that? I'm not sure if.
No, I did not. Didn't even know that.
Oh, you didn't know.
But that can't hurt to bring in a wise old head. And I think it probably worked. I'm just thinking that Zach probably, I think you have to admit some. I think you have to admit some of your weaknesses, and what am I missing here?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a sign of weakness. To me, that's a sign of actually confidence that I know how to fix this, and it's getting somebody in here who can remind us about some things.
Right, exactly. And they're still stopping the run really well. Like it's just this one piece that they got to figure out. And
But I want to mention that we, as Gary mentioned it, we have played against Pat Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah. It's been a good one.
It's a good little.
And of course lost to Gardner Minshew, but yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
Hey, we're going to wind things down. Want to remind folks that next week, Thursday and Friday, the Maryland 5-Star, it's out in Cecil County at Fair Hills. The dressage is Thursday and Friday, and it's outdoors. It's weather permitting. Not weather permitting. I mean, it's no matter what the weather is. The horses rain or shine. The horses do their ballet thing. Then on Saturday, that's the mother of all days out at Fair Hills. It's the cross country, and it is just absolutely breathtaking to be out there for that. It really is. And there's going to be a lot of people there. And the reason there's a lot of people is because this is an evolving event that people buzz about after they attend it, that it's so fantastic. Because what could be better, Griffin, than the fall day outdoors in Maryland, out in a beautiful area like Cecil County. So Thursday, Friday, dressage, Saturday, the cross country, and then Sunday is the show jumping. And it's really a tremendous event. And Jeff Newman he's equal to me on this thing. He says if you can only go one day, go out on Saturday. First of all, you're off of work. That's number one, and it's just absolutely gorgeous out there. All right? Still tickets available at, darn it, I didn't have
it's Maryland 5-Star, right?
Maryland 5. It's Maryland, the number 5 star .us, I believe. Is that right?
That is right. Maryland5star.us.
All right. You won't, seriously, Griffin and I will reimburse your tickets if you call us and say, just me?
Yeah.
Just me,
yeah,
reimburse. You don't make enough here. Right?
Correct. Well, but unless you want to change that, just.
I don't have any power.
Okay.
Because I would change what I make too. But seriously, you will absolutely thank me, not Griffin. But we're not giving away refunds if you don't like it. All right. It's just suck it up if you don't like it. But trust
you're not going to
you're not going to not like it. How many times did we say not in there?
Not enough.
All right, not enough. Very good. Touche. Hey, it's time for our segments, show-ending segments.
Exactly.
Tidbit of the day, and it's brought to you by?
It is actually brought to you by our friends at Cruise Maryland, but we want to tell you that on the other side of this final break, one last break, and then we'll get you our tidbit and tubular.
Hold on a second.
What's up, Stan?
Sorry, I apologize.
Don't have to apologize. Don't have to apologize.
I've got nothing else to read.
You got nothing else to read. We can throw to break right now.
Go to break right now.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
PressBox's Project Game Day is the place to be after every game this season. Join Glenn Clark, Rita Hubbard, Super Bowl 35 champion Femi Ayanbadejo, and our cast of regulars as they break down what happened, why it mattered, and what it means moving forward. You can watch the show at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay or PressBox's Facebook and YouTube pages. Project Game Day is brought to you by the Green Turtle Sportsbook in Towson and Canton, Easy Pass, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. So join us for Project Game Day after every game day this football season at PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their legendary fat, delicious, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. It's crab season, so sit back and crack some crabs while watching the Birds pursue another divisional title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday night, the Costas Inn offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30. So head on down to the Costas Inn today at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled in-person betting experience at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook and Bars in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between our on-site tellers or the convenience of our self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. The ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
As I was saying before, it is time for Tidbit of the Day.
That is correct. Sorry, I had my apologies, Stan.
Can't you get through anything without a mistake? Just kidding. We all make mistakes. Are we ready now?
We in fact are.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Fun matchup tonight in Game 5 of the NLDS stand because we're going to have the first
Who's
matchup.
playing in that game?
In the NLDS, the Game 5. It is going to be the San Diego Padres and the LA Dodgers. Notable because Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Yu Darvish is the pitching matchup. First matchup of Japanese-born starting pitchers in MLB playoff history.
Wow.
Going up against each other. Darvish versus Yamamoto. So, yeah, should be a good game tonight. Hopefully, last night there were some good games. Of course, the Guardians forced the series back to Cleveland with their win over the Tigers in Detroit. David Fry in postseason history, he hit the let me make sure I got it, the ninth. He hit the ninth go-ahead home run while trailing in the 7th inning or later, while facing elimination in postseason history. The 9th time that has happened. It also happened just a couple weeks ago. Not even a couple weeks ago, like a week ago, in Game 3 of the Wild Card Series when Pete Alonso hit that home run off of Devin Williams. So he became the 9th player to join that list.
So Alonso was the 8th?
Yes, Alonso was the 8th.
All right.
7th go-ahead homer, trailing in the 7th or later. Alonso's obviously came in the 9th.
Okay.
Howie Kendrick did it in Game 7 of the World Series in 2019 recently, and then Albert Pujols also recently in 2005 in the NLCS Game 5.
So what is the
but the significance with David Fry, he is the only one on this list as a pinch hitter.
Wow, that's very good.
Very impressive stuff from David Fry. And then also last night, unfortunately, the Yankees did clinch their way to the ALCS. It is a record 19th LCS appearance by the Yankees, most in MLB history. I have the top 9 here. I want to see if you can round out the top 5, though. Most LCS appearances. Which team in MLB history has the most LCS appearances? All right, well, so the Yankees have the most, but who are the
with
top
19.
5? 19 is the most.
Who's a perennial? I would say that the Atlanta Braves are in there.
They are in the top 5. They are 4th, have the
They are
4th
fourth.
most.
Okay.
4th most LCS appearances, 13 for the Atlanta Braves.
How about they have to have played in the League Championship Series?
Mm-hmm.
How about the Oakland A's?
The Oakland A's are just outside of the top 5.
But it was a good guess.
It is a good
wasn't
guess.
it?
They're
It was
tied for
very
6th.
It was a very good guess,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Like it was a very good year.
Yeah. They have 11 LCS appearances, the A's.
The A's have 11. So it's got to be more than 10?
Yes, has to be more than 10. Has to be at least 12.
Has to be at least 12. League Championship Series, you got to play in a while. It's got to be at least 12. What year did the League Championship Series start in 69?
69, yeah.
69. The Orioles.
The Orioles is a good guess, but they are just outside as well. They do have 10 LCS appearances.
Okay.
That puts them at 9th on the list.
Okay. I'm trying to think of the good. How about the there's got to be Cincinnati Reds.
Not the Cincinnati Reds.
St. Louis Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals have one more appearance than the Braves, 14, so they're 3rd on the list.
So I need 2 more.
2 more.
What 3 do we have now?
We have the Yankees at 1. We have the Cardinals at 3, Atlanta at 4.
It can't be. I'm trying to think of the teams in baseball that have been really dominant teams. The Phillies?
Phillies is another excellent guess, but just outside the top 5. They're tied with Oakland with 11 LCSs.
What can't be as good as Houston has been lately. The Astros can't be, right?
It is not the Astros. They're also at 11, so they're tied with Oakland and Philly.
Who else has been really good?
So you've got the top 9 here outside of these. Outside
San
of 2 and 5.
Francisco.
Not San Francisco.
They won 3 World Series.
A team's still alive right now. They haven't clinched their way to the LCS yet, but they are still alive right now.
The Cleveland Guardians?
No.
Can't be the Tigers.
Not the Tigers.
So it's the Dodgers.
It is the Dodgers, yes.
We didn't say the Dodgers
No,
before?
you didn't say the Dodgers yet. Dodgers.
Okay.
Dodgers have 15 LCS appearances. They'll be looking to make it 16 tonight. That's all right. Hey,
Right.
go easy on yourself.
So now we got the Yankees.
Yankees, Dodgers, Cardinals, Braves, and
of course, I'll let you.
It's an AL East team.
AL East team, the Boston Red Sox.
The Boston Red Sox round out the top 5. 12 LCS appearances.
They've had 12 LCS appearances.
They have.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many's Toronto had?
I don't know.
That's probably only
find it
about
out.
5 or 6.
Here, let me find out. I can actually. Don't ask me any others, but Toronto
Yeah.
I can figure out for you. Toronto has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had 3 straight. They made the ALCS in 2015 and 16.
So how
barely
many
remember
total
that.
times? 5?
7.
7 times.
Yes.
So let's go over it again. The number 1 was New York Yankees at 19.
Yeah.
Dodgers were second?
Yep, Dodgers with 15.
I can't believe that you hadn't said Dodgers somewhere that I didn't. Okay. St. Louis was third?
Yep.
With how many?
14.
14. And then?
Atlanta 13.
Atlanta 13.
Boston 12.
Wow.
That is the top 5.
Okay.
Philly, Oakland, and Houston all have 11.
Philly, Oakland.
Of course, Houston going across both the NLCS and they have 4 NLCS appearances, 7 ALCSs.
Oakland.
And then Baltimore at 10.
Okay. All right.
There you
go. Oakland is never going to make it again.
Not to. I mean,
the A's may.
Yeah, I
but
guess.
the
Yeah.
Oakland.
Well, I mean, unless unless what we expand and they bring Oakland.
Well, the Oakland Raiders came back to Oakland.
Yeah.
They became the Los Angeles Raiders for what, about 15 years?
Yeah, is that what
Something
it was?
like that.
Something like
Could
that.
have even been longer.
You would have a better idea than I would.
I can't remember that. That's an interesting tidbit of the day.
Hey, thank you, Stan. Thank you.
We're also going to do Tubular, and that before we even hear the sponsor, what time is that game on tonight between the Padres and the Dodgers? And it is back at Dodger Stadium.
Correct. It is at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it bumps. It actually bumped. So Maryland Northwestern was supposed to be on Fox, and then because of that Game 5, they bumped it to FS1. So
FS1.
Yeah, so
Maryland,
Fox. So FS1 for Maryland.
Maryland is home against Northwestern.
They are Friday night.
Who's
tonight.
favored in that game?
Maryland is pretty 10.5.
10.5 point favorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go Maryland.
Yeah, go
Maryland.
Terps.
So 8 o'clock. You know what I can't stand about that? I understand you don't want to have it at 10 o'clock, okay? Because, it's too late on the East Coast to start a game. But I think there should be a compromise. I just think starting a game 5 o'clock in that brutal sun out there in Los Angeles is just really unfair for the competition a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at because Seattle, San Francisco, the football game last night, it looked kind of empty, in Seattle. Like that game starts at 5 o'clock local time.
Right.
People aren't off work.
Not a big fan of that. I think you get a larger West Coast audience if you started at 9, but also it's the competition is not fair to have games decided by play. I hate remember the Yankees, all the pictures.
Well, I mean, they
when
used
the Yankees
to play.
used to do it, the shadows at Yankee Stadium, and the pitcher was still in the sun.
Wrigley, and yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Hey, get back on your stool. We can keep going over this.
Okay, all right. Let's go to Tubular.
Let's do it.
Experience the thrill of the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, coming October 17th to 20th. See the world's best equestrians compete in the sport of eventing, the ultimate test of horse and rider. Enjoy a weekend festival featuring local food, shopping, and fun for all. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront, vibrant small towns, and family entertainment. Tickets on sale now at maryland5star.us.
All right, Stan. You did mention, obviously, NLDS Game 5 tonight, Yamamoto versus Darvish. That it starts at actually 8:08 is the 8:08 Eastern is the first pitch. Maryland Northwestern will be on FS1, and then you can check
that
out.
Starts at what time? Also 7:30.
8
o'clock.
8 on FS1 at 7. So as as an appetizer, maybe you want to head over to YouTube, the Corrigan Sports YouTube channel, Concordia Prep and Spalding. Will be playing tonight at 7 for
Are you doing the
Spalding.
play-by-play?
I will be on the call for that one. Watching, very
Just
excited.
curious. Now this game's on TV.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
But are you going to wear a suit?
No, because they're not going to do any. They're not going to do any booth shots, so I don't have to worry about that. But
So
I will probably wear.
So you
a
could
shirt.
be naked.
I could. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I don't know if that would be allowed. Actually, being naked on a school campus, that could.
Could people see? Can people see into your broadcast booth?
I mean, yeah, I think they could.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an idea. I think
bottomless. They probably couldn't see that you were bottomless.
Probably, hopefully,
unless somebody comes in to bring you a bottle of water or something like that. All right, wear clothes. Okay.
Yeah. Maryland is playing Washington at 10 p.m. on Big Ten Plus in soccer. Men's soccer tonight, Big Ten Plus for that one. Hopkins Gettysburg football on CentennialConference.tv. ESPN will have Memphis, South Florida, Utah, Arizona State football. UNLV, Utah State on CBS Sports Network. Lightning Hurricanes hockey is back. It's on ESPN Plus and Hulu. For the rest, the Wizards have a preseason game at 7 on Monumental. SmackDown on USA. Lots and lots of sports, of course. And then tomorrow, if you want to head over to ESPN Plus at 4 p.m., Mount St. Mary's men's soccer takes on Sacred Heart. Catch me and Christian Taylor on the call for that one as well, if you're hanging around ESPN Plus at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Albany UMBC also on ESPN Plus. Towson Norfolk State at 2 p.m. in football. on ESPN Plus as well. Colgate takes on Loyola in soccer. Again, you just get the Glenn Clark Radio. Game 5 of the ALDS. Have the Guardians announced a starter yet for tomorrow?
I have not heard a starter
so
for the
either.
Guardians.
Tarek
I wonder
Skubal.
who's starting for the Tigers.
Tarek Skubal.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
That might go pretty well for them.
By the way, is Ben Lively hurt? Did he end up on the IL?
Is he not even on the? Is he not on the roster?
I don't know. I haven't heard his name even mentioned.
Would you be starting him if he was available?
Well, compared to all of a sudden they're starting pitching. I can't think of who else they had besides Tanner Bibby.
It looks like he is available because
Okay.
just like looking at
Well, I think it's gonna be
random Twitter comments, people are saying maybe Ben Lively tomorrow.
Yeah. What time is that
Oh
game?
no, apparently Ben Lively's not on the roster.
Okay. What time is that game?
That game is also 8:08.
See, I don't have a problem with it being on 8:08 at 8:08 on the East Coast.
On East Coast time.
Because it'll be dark there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tigers Guardians game 5. Tarek Skubal on the mound. TBD for the Guardians. That's on TBS. Again, 8 p.m. tomorrow night. NBC will have Ohio State, Oregon, number 2 versus number 3 in college football. So that'll be a fun one. Other big. Penn State takes on USC. That's on CBS at 3:30. Plenty of. I mean, you can turn on the TV at any time to find some good college football. Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry at 3:30 on ABC. Ole Miss, LSU at 7:30 on ABC. That game's just almost going completely forgotten about. Like that's 2 ranked teams though too. So plenty of good college football. Trying to see if there's any other highlights. Tatsuro Taira, Brandon Royval, the UFC Fight Night tomorrow. That's on ESPN Plus. To Sunday, Commanders Ravens. It is at 1:00 on CBS. We're gonna have Jim Nantz, Tony Romo in the A crew.
Big game
for CBS
Big game.
For Commanders Ravens in Baltimore. Browns Eagles will be the 1 p.m. Fox game. Lions Cowboys at 4:25 on Fox, and then game 1 of the NLCS, the Mets taking on the winner of tonight's game between the Padres and the Dodgers. That game starts at 8:15.
On which night?
That's Sunday night.
Sunday night. It starts Sunday night.
Yep.
It'll
NLCS
finish tonight.
Yes.
Will be the end of the NLCS.
DS.
Okay, and it starts Sunday at the home of either the Padres or the Dodgers, correct?
Are the Mets the 6th seed? No, are the Mets the 5 seed or the 6? Yeah, because the Padres are the 4 seed. So right. Yes, so yeah, whoever wins that will. So that'll be another 5:15 local start. So unfortunately, Steiner.
I just want to let folks know out there that on FanDuel, I have a small wager made it about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I dropped $20 on the Padres to win the World Series. $20 for $320.
Wow.
Which should give some folks one team that they can eliminate after tonight. I mean, I'm
bet anyone but the Padres is what you're saying.
That's
because you're cursed.
I
put in at about 2 weeks into the season. I put in a Pat Murphy NL Manager of the Year bet.
How much was that?
That was like plus 600 at the time. So
and you put like
I put like 15 and
15
yeah, so I'll win like 130, 150, something like that.
Wait a minute.
If he wins.
You only get 130 for 15?
Yeah.
He was 600 to 1?
Yeah, something like that.
Doesn't sound right.
That is right.
Okay.
Unless maybe I am wrong. I don't know. But I do feel good about that. I was able to get Aaron Judge at plus 200 back in May, so I feel good about that
for
one
MVP.
Too. Yes.
Boy,
yes.
I'm gonna consult you next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, I mean, as soon as I start going public with them, they're not gonna hit. So.
Yeah.
Game 2 of the WNBA Finals, Lynx and the Liberty. That was a good one last night. The Lynx came back to win and beat the Liberty, I believe. So that was because they were. Let me make sure I get it right. It was the Liberty were up big in the fourth quarter. They had a 98% chance to win, late in the fourth quarter, and the Lynx came back and won.
Is that a bad beat?
I mean, it might have been. I mean, it was, but I think the Liberty were still like 6-point favorites. So yeah, it was gonna be a bad beat no matter what, and then Lynx ended up winning outright. So game 2 of that. Oh, also London games, 9:30 a.m. on NFL Network Sunday morning.
Who's playing this weekend?
It is the Jags and the Bears.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The rest go to Glenn Clark Radio. SNL this week.
That's really interesting because I did not know. I never see when you look at. I guess they do put it on FanDuel, but I took the Bears as my lock winner this week, and they're playing the team that's most experienced
Oh, so you didn't even know it was in London?
No,
did not. You just saw the Bears taking on the Jags, and you said, "Yep." You saw green.
I saw green. That's exactly what I saw.
SNL, Ariana Grande is hosting, and the musical guest is Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks is the musical guest this week.
She's got some horrible song out now. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen the new Stevie
It's
Nicks
a new
song.
video.
I mean, I love Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, I mean, she's a legend. I mean, she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, isn't she?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, she's a legend. But this song is like sort of about abortion rights, and it's. I have no problem with a cause song. You know?
The Lighthouse, is that the name of the song?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just absolutely horrible.
Okay. I'll have to check it out because I mean I am a big
the video's
Fleetwood
even
and,
more. The video, the song's not good, and the video's not good.
Well, I might listen to it right away then. I'm going to listen to that as soon as we get off here. Tracker is back on CBS at 8 Sunday night as well.
But she did do it naked.
Oh, really?
She sang it naked.
Okay, then
if you
yeah.
like
All right,
to see like a 68-year-old.
Let's quickly wrap this up then. The Penguin new episode of that on HBO Sunday night, Paramount Plus for
that
Tulsa
sounds
King.
great. Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Yeah, I haven't been able to check it out yet, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna be looking at that at some point soon. And that is all we got. GlennClarkRadio.com for the rest of.
I will be back on Monday with Luke and Ross. No other Zoom this week. I don't believe. But I'll be back the following week. Gary and I will come up with something the following week. I will not be here next Friday.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you. Stand bat around tomorrow morning as well.
All right.
And yeah, big shout out to all
Who's
our
co-hosting
sponsors.
that with Paul?
Ryan Blake.
Ryan Blake.
Okay. Ryan Blake. They do a good job, those guys.
What time are they on?
10
to 12?
10 a.m. I think they don't go until 12 anymore, but they do go for like an hour, about at least an hour, sometimes more. But yeah, I'm sure
sounds good.
Plenty for them to discuss still.
All right.
With postseason baseball going on, but yeah, shout out to everybody here. Live Casino, County Sports Zone, Toyota, the Arthur Maulet Show, Project Game Day, of course, will be Sunday after the Commanders-Ravens game. Yes, the Costas Inn, Royal Farms, helpmygamblingproblem.org, Royal Farms. I think we mentioned the Maryland 5-Star. Yes, Green Turtle as well, and Easy Pass. All of the sponsors that make things possible over here.
All right.
Yes, and then we'll wrap today's
also
stand.
gambling problem, right?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it. But
okay.
yes, definitely check it. Go to 1-800-GAMBLING. Call 1-800-GAMBLING.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Glenn will be back on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Actually, Stan, I need you to vamp for like 10 seconds while I get us to the right spot in the Arthur Maulet Show here.
Okay. Glenn will be back on Monday morning at 10 o'clock with a whole new week of shows. And I'll be back on Monday with Ross Grimsley and Luke Jackson, probably in that 5 o'clock hour as we get deeper into the MLB playoffs. That's it for now. Right now, listen to the last segment of the Arthur Maulet Show from this past Tuesday night at Mother's in Timonium.
Third and final segment of the Arthur Maulet Show. PressBox 105.7 The Fan. Glenn and Rita, Arthur Maulet, Justice Hill. Live from Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Make your trip to the game easy by saving the Easy Pass way for tolls. Go to driveeasymd.com. That's driveeasymd.com. Justice, Rita brought it up earlier in the show.
Sorry.
It's all right. Rita, I send Rita and Arthur a list of topics every week, and then Rita always reads ahead. She always jumps right to segment number 3 and asks the question. But what it meant to you, like getting another deal in Baltimore, you referenced like you had to work hard to get this opportunity, right? Like you came in, you were a special teams guy. Now you become a star. Like you become what does it mean to you to be rewarded like that and to be able to stick around here in Baltimore?
Yeah, man, it means everything. It's definitely a dream come true. And I'm definitely blessed, man. Because, man, when you work so hard, you just want to get rewarded for it sometimes, you know? And so I just came in knowing that I had that ability the whole time, and then just having to go through the process and just buy into the process and know that whenever you get the opportunity, you'll get it. You know, it's going to be there, and just take advantage of it. And so, man, I'm just extremely blessed for the opportunity to be here a couple more years.
Have you had the opportunity, maybe not even with signing the new deal, but have you had the opportunity to do something for somebody in your life, like take care of them in some sort of way that was a big deal for you?
I mean, I'm always taking care of people.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I'm not going to do anything extra right now. keep doing what I'm doing.
Have you? There was something you told me before the show. Do people know that like you got something new happening in your life this year?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not really on social media. I know my wife does post some stuff, but we got a newborn coming in December. So
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What, greedy? What?
And you didn't even tell me. That's
Bro,
why you playing like that. That's why you playing like that.
Hey, man.
That's why you playing like that.
Feed, man.
Got another kid to feed. I feel you.
You ready for the whole family of four thing?
I enjoy it, man. It's a fun process, man. It's fun just being a part of it and seeing them grow every day. So it's fun, man. I enjoy it.
And you're already a girl dad.
Yeah.
So, like, are you all in on girl dad stuff? Are you all in on, watching Moana and, you know?
Yeah, we do it all. We have fun, man. And, I enjoy it. I really genuinely enjoy it, man. It's a fun process.
That's awesome.
Do we know what this baby is?
Yeah, it's a boy.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm done. That's going to be the last series y'all see from me.
Anytime you need a break, my brother.
Man, he say that, and then I'm dropping
Drop off at Uncle house.
Door going to be locked.
Over to Uncle. We're going over to see Uncle Greedy. We're going.
I ain't got no kids. They're good.
Big bash, though. Look, man.
They can just play 2K with you, right?
Yeah, we good over here.
That's not bad, man. Congratulations, Justice.
Thank
That's
you so
awesome.
much.
Congratulations, man.
Thank
Very cool. All right, did you guys happen to be watching the Monday Night Football game this week?
Yeah.
Did you see?
I was in the theater, bro. I fell asleep on it first.
Have you seen the highlight then of the Fat Man interception that we got in that game?
Yeah, that's my boy, man.
Oh, that's your boy?
Wow. Yeah, that's my boy, man. We trained together.
Really?
Coming out for college. Yeah, so
that's
we spent a lot of time together. Bro, he's just an athlete, though.
Yo,
he's
a crazy athlete.
Bro, he can hit backflips, standing up, bro, and then he used to always tell me, he's like, bro, I was running back. He would show me his highlights from high school, bro, and he was like that for real. I think Derrick Henry highlights is like that. You got to go watch Collins, high school highlights, bro. He really was like that. But, bro, he's just an athlete. So when I saw him catching it one hand, too, in the end zone, I thought he was going to go.
Did you think he
was
get
rumbling?
Yeah, because, I mean, if you know him, bro, he's one of them dudes, trash talk. Bro, if I get a pick, bro, nobody tackle me. Hey, nobody, man. Y'all be letting offensive people tackle me. He want to know. He's just a jokester, but, bro, that was dope to see, though.
Yeah.
All right, there are electric plays in football, right? There's when somebody mosses someone, that's an electric play. Toe drags are electric plays. Is there anything more electric in football than a big man making an athletic play of some sort?
No, I don't think so, man. When you see a big boy moving and he scores or makes a pick or does something like that and gets an extra 10, 15 yards, hey, man.
Apparently, Kevin Harlan had another great moment. He was calling that game last night, and he called it a thick six.
A pick thick or a thick pick or something. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a win. Yo, I absolutely. I think it's one of the few things that brings us together in this country. There's nothing we can agree about in this country other than watching big men rumble down football
big boy
fields.
Success, baby.
Right? It's the only thing we got. So we were talking earlier about what a wild weekend it was in college football.
Yeah.
And we saw in the Tennessee-Arkansas game, so Arkansas beats Tennessee, they rushed the field. Tennessee's got a lineman, and he wasn't feeling it. And he was angry too, and people are coming up pushing, and he shoves one of the fans down to the ground. And everybody's like, yo, you can't do that. And I get it. You can't do that, right?
But was it storm? The field storm?
Yeah, it was a field storm.
Yeah, it was a field storm.
How are you supposed to get out?
So I feel like there's two different questions here.
I'm just being honest. You're not even supposed to be on the field.
So okay, this is the first question.
You're not supposed to be on the field.
Should we not have field storming? Should we?
I think if you storm the field.
But they do it anyway.
You're not supposed to.
But if you storm the field, just don't run by a big dude. just go around, let him do what he needs. Just be aware. That's all I would say.
So it's free game, basically. If you get out there.
I'm not condoning violence.
We're
or
not
any
suggesting
of
that, right?
But I'm just saying, people are high off of emotions. The game means a lot to certain people. And like I said, people cope differently with losing and winning. So if you're going to storm the field, just be careful and
stay away from what we learned earlier. Stay away from Arthur Maulet. Just stay away.
Nah, I'm not going to do anything to anyone because I'll be in the locker room before.
They can handle Arthur, though.
Yeah, they can handle me. I don't want no problems.
Have you ever had an uncomfortable moment with a fan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
It would.
Kansas City, bro.
This year?
No.
Okay.
It was 2 years ago, and we're playing at Arrowhead.
Where were you at?
Were you a?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to mention.
Okay, that's
the team.
okay. But
That's
you
why
were
I
one.
just-
You was.
I don't know. I'm starting
to
to think I might condone whatever it is that this fan did.
You probably will. So it's like it's the second quarter, and I give up a catch, and it's like first down, but we get off. They kick a field goal, whatever, and I get to the sideline, and like if you ever been to Arrowhead, like their stadium is on you.
Yes.
Like they're not far. Like where this table is, that first table right there.
Yep.
That's fans to players.
Yep.
So it was just a heckler, man. He was going in like, Arthur, it's your fault. Every time I got off the field, it's your fault. And like Mahomes is going score, and it's not my fault, but he's just like, oh, Arthur, it's your fault. 37, it's your fault. Maulet, it's your fault. And I got tired of it.
What'd you say?
I'm not even going to say it.
Can we say it on the radio?
No. Just a whole bunch of beep, 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 and a little water.
Oh.
A little water. I was trying to spray something and missed.
Well, yeah, I mean, but he also might have been hot. Like, he might have needed to be cooled down a little bit with a little bit of water, right? Like,
I don't know.
I appreciate the honesty, bro. I appreciate Justice, have you ever had a moment like that?
Nah, I hadn't had any moments like that, man.
Justice like, I'm way too chill. Wait,
Just imagine every third down you get off and you don't get a first down. They'd be like, Justice Hill, it's your fault.
I'd just be laughing.
Every time, Justice Hill, it's your fault.
Like
Look, every time.
You didn't.
Blood started boiling.
And we losing.
Hang on, did you hear the Max Crosby thing from this weekend?
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
No.
Okay. Bo Nix, the quarterback for the Broncos, is barking out a play. Max Crosby screams out, Bo, they can't effing hear you. Like, screams it out. Say it louder. It's so funny. Of course, then the Broncos ended up kicking their asses. So, like, it's maybe not quite as funny. All right, we're out here at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. Don't forget, book your holiday party right now. Plus, Oktoberfest Stein competition Friday, October 25th, the costume party and the DJ on the 31st. That's all coming up at Mother's North Grill in Timonium.
Nice.
Fun little game coming up this Sunday. Fun little football game.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice game, man.
Yeah, right?
With the guys down the street.
You,
the next door neighbors.
You been able to watch much of Jaden Daniels? Like
yeah, I obviously, I haven't been playing, so I've been kind of, this was the game I was supposed to be. I'm not going to say anything, but yeah, I've been watching a lot of film on the Commanders, yes. He looks good.
What is it about? How do you feel like he's been able to do this so quickly?
I just think his composure is just one of a kind for a rookie quarterback. He's very composed. The coaching staff is installing confidence in him. He has pretty good weapons around him. He's not scared of the spotlight. Pretty good quarterback.
I mean, this is a nice little tat-a-tat, right? Like him and Lamar on Sunday. It's a fun little battle between those two.
It's the Commanders versus the Ravens.
That's true. It is the Commanders versus the Ravens.
As it should be.
It's the Commander versus the Ravens.
Rita pointed me out something that was going on the interwebs today. Micah Parsons does a podcast.
Yeah.
And he was talking to Trayvon Diggs. And they were like openly talking about how, I don't know, Jaden Daniels could potentially dominate the Ravens. Now, I'm not trying to start anything, although if you want to say something, you can. I'm not trying to step in, but that's not the point of this. What makes it weird, right, is that it would be good for the Cowboys if the Commanders lost.
Right.
Because they're division rivals.
And they're 3-2, and the Commanders are 4-1.
Is that, we all think that's weird. Like, it's weird. You guys are rivals. Why would you be, like, talking like you're rooting for that team? But do you guys just not, like, think that way? Is that not something that crosses your mind at all? Like, you're not worried about any of that?
I think we think that way.
I think about it.
Right.
As you should.
I think we're high competitive people. I don't think we want anybody in our division to win.
So you were, like, happy that the Cowboys won on Sunday night? Like, that was...
I was ecstatic. Yes, number one seed, baby. Number one seed, baby. Right where we left off.
And that makes sense to me.
Like, I'm not going to be like, yay, Pittsburgh beat the Cowboys.
Right.
Like, no, what?
That's weird for them to say. I mean, I haven't seen that, but it's weird for them to say.
Weird.
I mean,
it is weird.
This is not the first time that he's done this. I remember a couple years ago, I think Dallas was out of the playoffs. This was the year that Philly went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Dallas was obviously eliminated. And Micah Parsons was openly cheering for
The
Philly.
Eagles. I mean,
it was very weird. It was very weird.
Is it different after the season was over?
And so his excuse was like, well, I went to Penn State,
I can see it from
Penn
both
State didn't pay
sides,
you.
though. I see it from both sides from Parsons with that, though, because, I don't want them to win, but if somebody's going to win, it better be the team that beat us. You know what I'm saying? From that point of view, I see it from that angle. That's the only way I see it. Other than that, no.
It's still weirdo behavior.
I don't see it.
I mean, and it's kind of saying that, shoot, they're just a bad team. 'Cause, he's if they're going to dominate a team that dominated y'all.
Thank you.
Also,
y'all in the same
what is
division?
it?
Also, could this not just be them being a little salty because of how y'all handled them the first time, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. I don't know. They probably forgot about it, but I don't know. They got their own issues to work through.
All right, let's wrap it this way. Y'all are getting flowers from everybody now. Everybody's talking about how great the Ravens are. Do you like that, or are you the type that's like, dude, I like being the underdog. I like having the chip on my shoulder. I don't want to hear any of that.
You want to speak on that first?
You go ahead, bro.
I mean, for me, I don't really care what people say because social media gives people too many power. There's a lot of networks where it's just they feel as though they know what they're talking about, but then their sides change really fast when someone starts winning. So, I mean, people's opinions on networks for me, playing football, doesn't matter because I'm not supposed to even be in the NFL, and he isn't either. So,
I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that. You like having the chip on your shoulder, Justice?
I mean, it's an extra motivation. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm just
want to go
naturally
win.
competitive
and
just want to win too. And so, I mean, I see both sides to it. But for me, I'm just trying to go ball, man.
And we want you guys to go win Sunday against the Commanders. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Would y'all make some noise one more time for Arthur Maulet and Justice Hill, please?
Thank y'all for coming. That was man.
Are you struggling with addiction? Stigma keeps people from reaching out, but there is help available. For more information on what you can do about addiction, go to stopoverdose.maryland.gov. Justice Hill, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
Really
Always
appreciate it. Arthur Maulet, we are going to see you 2 weeks. We're going to do the show on a Wednesday in 2 weeks because the Ravens are playing on Monday night.
Baby.
So 2 weeks from tomorrow is going to be the next show. So that'll be the 23rd. We will be at the Gourmet inside the shops at Kenilworth. So come out and join us there. As always, PressBoxOnline.com/Maulet. Thanks to everybody at Mothers. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to our great crew. For Rita, I'm Glenn. And for Arthur Maulet, this has been the Arthur Maulet Show.